This is a very passionate podcast. I'm Maria.
Super very passionate people. I'm very passionate.
Very, very passionate about it.
Very passionate people.
She's one of the most passionate people.
Or maybe you don't know shit and you want to learn from the best.
Very passionate. But hello, welcome to another episode of I Am Very Passionate. It's our podcast that we love. I'm Maria.
We're passionate about it. I'm Jessica.
And welcome back. Today we have a very different show, I think. I think it's going to be a slightly different format than normal.
Yeah.
Because it was requested by us by one of my very best friends, Jasmine.
Hi, Jasmine.
We met on Animal Crossing 6-7 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on there's this thing where it sets
you guys became friends through the game?
Through a video game.
That's so cool.
Because when you can go on this little island and it randomly matches you up with people.
Yeah.
And we met, I met a friend of hers and he introduced us. I met a friend of hers on that island and he introduced us and then we became friends and he kind of fell off the face. But her and then our friend Dennis, who's my German friend, we all met through that, and we've literally talked every single day since.
That is so
through
cool.
WhatsApp. Yeah.
Well, hi, Jasmine. Thanks for the request.
So my friend Jasmine, she requested that we talk about the Laci Peterson case and Scott Peterson in depth. Well, not really in depth. We just took it there.
Well, so as most of our listeners know, if we have any, hi out there, I am obsessed with true crime and more specifically serial killers. Mm-hmm. And I also am fascinated by domestic violence killings too. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's the woman, if it's the man. Snapped is my shit. Oh, yeah. I watch Snapped all the time. Daniel used to think that I was getting ideas to kill him. And he would joke. And I'm like, no, I just genuinely love it. And then he bought me a serial killer book for Christmas one year. And, I couldn't let it go. It was, this interactive, book with pops out. And,
that sounds amazing.
It's a great book. So I am genuinely obsessed. And ironically, I just discovered Crime Junkie because I get to listen to podcasts in my new job. And I came across the Scott Peterson episodes. It was 2 episodes, and she presented all this stuff about why he could possibly be innocent.
Yeah, she convinced my ass. We'll talk about that today.
I'm not convinced, and Mario and I are prepared for a full debate.
Yeah.
So before we get into the heavy shit, of course, we have some icebreakers. Mario has our docket up. My phone is charging.
Right. So
I can go off whatever you say. You're fine.
Absolutely. So really quickly, I don't really want to stay too long on this because I feel like we're already talking about enough heavy stuff. We should try and quickly cover politics.
Quickly.
So just our girl Liz is currently the new Democratic frontrunner.
Which we are so super excited about.
I am so fucking stoked. And
trying not to get too excited, though. We have been let down in the last election. So
absolutely.
We're gauging our
excitement. I was reading a new article before I came over that was saying either her or Buttigieg are more electable than Trump Bernie and Biden.
Oh, I'm thinking about against Trump.
No, we're still the primaries, y'all. So who knows? Who knows where this will go? AOC did endorse Bernie, so I mean, not surprised he helped her get elected. Yeah, and rightfully so. They're very similar, and I'm certain if Bernie has to pull out or loses, AOC will fall behind.
I think Bernie has to pull out.
You think?
Yeah, I think he needs to get on someone else's ticket. I don't even care if it's Liz. Maybe Buttigieg is a better fit. I don't know. But I think he's not going to be able to do any change as president at this point. He is older. He did have that heart attack that we discussed. It just... Yeah. People don't want to think of their president as sickly or older. We already feel like we're weakened in the eyes of the world. So I feel like as much as I love Bernie, it's just not a good...
Well, then I also fear if he gets elected, the Democratic Party doesn't like him either.
I know.
So it's going to be hard for him to pass any legislation without kickback, you know?
Yeah.
But moving on from that, Mick Mulvaney, who is the director of Office of Management and Budget, as well as the current acting White House Chief of Staff, had to give testimony in regard to this impeachment inquiry. And he did say quid pro quo was part of how they do things, and we needed to get over it. So
I think I'm over you being in office, sir.
Yes.
That's not something you should say to the American public, even if it is happening, to just brush it under the table like that. And also, it shouldn't happen like that. Maybe I'm being idealistic again. But I'm not comfortable.
Right. No, absolutely. And on top of that, at first, the Republicans are like, oh, he's not being serious, whatever. Like, they try to walk it back.
Yeah.
But then they interviewed another head diplomat, and he's like, no, this is absolutely what I was told. This is how it's doing. Quid pro quo was in place because they said they are going to withhold military aid from the Ukraine if they are until they do a public announcement that they are investigating Biden.
You know what? I just find quid pro quo, but like, let's do it on little things, not on military aid.
Yeah.
That feels irresponsible.
That's...
and an overuse of power.
Absolutely. It's just, and also it's not even being used for the betterment of the country. It's being used for Trump's political gain. So it's one thing if we say, like, use it as a bargaining chip. It's like, okay, well, we really need this support for this specific thing regarding our trade policy or something. So if we do this, we'll do that for you.
Yeah, it should be a positive
But
thing.
this is, Trump wants dirt on Biden for this election, so he's withholding military aid, and it's fucking bullshit. But two White House insiders have confirmed it while testifying in front of the Judicial Committee of the investigation for the House.
And this is how change happens. Like, we find cracks in our politician. I can't speak today. We find cracks in what's happening behind the White House doors.
Yeah, it's actually legit. Because, I mean, although corruption is occurring behind closed doors, it's also occurring in front of the fucking world. Because...
But more people are going to be mad about the stuff hiding.
Yes.
Than the stuff in plain sight.
I don't know about that. They're going to try and play it off. But what they're not playing off is this G7 summit.
Oh, God, I warmed my heart.
Oh, my God. So Trump...
If you don't know...
owns a resort, naturally, and he announced that the next G7 meeting was going to be at his resort.
And the internet and Americans fucking erupted.
Yes. Even Republicans were like, are you fucking kidding me?
You're a dumbass. We're trying to get you elected again. Don't make these dumbass moves. So basically, what's going to happen is what Mario and I have been talking about. Like, I talked about in our last episode about the impeachment offenses, like whether or not you thought, he was impeachable. And Mario did mention it in previous episode. I don't know which one it was. But whenever he hosts the presidential party, the presidential bodyguards, White House, foreign dignitaries, whenever they go to his resorts, they are paying him for that stay. So basically the American government is paying him even though he's already getting paid to be president.
And then when foreign governments come to stay at his place, they will be paying him then. So there's so much backlash.
Because it's not free. They have to pay for where they stay.
Absolutely. But there was so much backlash, they canceled it.
I'm really happy.
But it's it's just so blatant and obvious that he's not even fucking trying to
I don't even know that this G7 summit was important because he's been calling them left and right. I feel like there have been more G meetings in his reign of terror than other presidents. Oh. I know there's little minor ones that go off on the side, but this is not. This didn't seem important.
I didn't know he had the power to call them. I thought they just had so many a year.
Anybody within that summit can call based on, like, you want to talk about economics and technology, then we're going to have like a G6 summit or this G7. I don't know what they all stand for, but this could have been about environmentalism. So anyone within that summit that wants to discuss these things is basically like a mixer.
Right.
So, anyone that wants to be a part of it or talk about it, then, they feel like it's important, they need to go. And as the president, you feel... Oh, okay, he turned it down. Sorry, my husband's watching sports. He turned it down. Or he's playing sports, one of the two.
She's going to get the broomstick and just start banging on the ceiling.
No, today is a testy day for everybody. No one's talking.
You just said testy.
Instead of a vagangent, it's a testy angent, whatever. Testangent. There we go. So we're just saying, like, it shows that he just does not give a fuck what people think about him. Mm-hmm. And you should care as the president.
As the fucking president representing our country. I mean,
do you, boo. Be a slimy businessman all you want, but not holding the most prestigious power in our country. Like, that's not...
That's not cool.
Yeah, it's not good. It's like when you have a boss that's an asshole just to be an asshole. They got the power, so they can do whatever they want. You shouldn't. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Where are the ethics? Are people not watching The Good Place? You will change your mind about being ethical. Watch The Good Place.
Never, ever, ever getting a vanity plate. Oh my God.
Oh, yes. Did you see? So, The Good Place, we've talked about before. It's really good. It's about, like, this preconceived notions of, like, the afterlife and people who are just bad and being tricked by demons thinking they're the good place, but they're not. But all these little rules, like, pop out throughout the whole series. And one of the actors, what's her name?
Kristen Bell? Or
No.
Jamila Jamil?
Jamila Jamil. She plays Tahani, and Mario and I adore that character.
I love her as a person
as well. A person, I love her as a person, but I only knew her as a character for a long time. She did an interview where they said, so do you practice by the rules of what you've been asked on The Good Place? She's like, yeah, I practice them now. She's like, I don't buy tabloids anymore. It's just like the funniest thing ever because it makes you think about consequences.
Well, it does. But
and
also,
I fall asleep listening to it sometimes because I feel like it helps my subconscious.
Have you watched season 3 yet?
Yeah, I've seen season 3.
Okay, so, like, it kind of makes me wonder, like, does that really matter? Because the system's so corrupt now.
But
because, like, buying an orange from the store because it wasn't ethically sourced and blah, 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 you're losing, like, 53 points.
But then also the overall tone is just do good when you can.
Yeah.
Just do good when you can. You want to do a Good Place like an episode? Like we should.
Oh my God, let me add it to the thing.
You want to do it?
I fucking love The Good Place.
It's
obsessed.
so good.
I finally watched season 3.
Season 4 is out on Hulu too, I think. So
season 4?
Yeah.
This is the final season.
Season 4 is the final season.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
We watched.
It's already started.
I believe so.
I'm not ready for it to be over.
I know, me either, but we can catch up on all the episodes, and when it's done, you and I can have like a real sit down talk about it because we've never really discussed it. We just reference it.
Absolutely.
So we'll do a Good Place episode. I did have I guess I can. I think I already did that as my little ray of light. But one of the girls that did come up and compliment the podcast, which I think you can hear on the last episode, said I was going to go see It Chapter 2, but then you guys did such a good job like outlining it that I felt like I didn't need to do it. And I was like, good, because I saved you money and a nasty floor and hiding in someone else's vagina.
No. You said that to her?
Yes.
Did she laugh?
I don't know if she heard me because she was just like, it's just a really good podcast. I was like, thanks.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Hello again. No, I made a new friend at work. She really likes like true crime and stuff. Like I really want her to meet you. Yeah. Because I feel like you guys would get along great.
I'm down. She brought you like Korean food.
Oh my gosh.
I want to be friends with her, period.
Her grandma's like full like Korean.
Tiny
like,
little Asian Korean.
I don't know. I haven't seen her.
But I mean, I just assume.
Girl, it's really
racist thing to do. I'm sorry to all my tall Asian friends. My bad. I just picture like a tiny little grandma like making kimchi. It's my happy place.
But anyway, her name's Angel. She's super cool. She has a lot of the same interests as me. So I was like, oh my gosh. And she's
Is she sad you're leaving?
Yes. Oh, by the way, I got a new job.
Oh, wait, no, that's Ray of Light. Don't do it. I'm cutting that out.
Okay.
Cut that out.
No, she is. No, so anyway, she's super, super sweet. Her name is Angel, and she loves conspiracy theories, loves true crime, loves Drag Race. And I'm like, oh my God, and loves Korean food. And then she loves ghost stories. She wants to talk about ghost stories with us.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Because
you know how I feel.
She told me some creepy ass shit too.
We can't record ghost stories in this room anymore. I just can't do it. I get so nervous.
You have 3 mirrors, you're good.
I don't care. I got nervous last time.
But she like I said, well, we're always looking for people to come on and share their passions, so like we can talk about it and figure out what we want to talk about with you and absolutely have you on if you're interested.
Yeah.
But no, she was, what was she telling me? Gosh, I totally forgot where I went here. Oh, she's gonna listen to our podcast too, she said.
Oh, so, thanks. That's Angel. So sweet.
I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm really excited. Now, I did want to talk about some tech news just because I feel like I always harp on Apple. Love Apple.
Mario's acting like I'm butthurt that we don't talk about Google phones, but like, again, technology.
Well, it's a very big tech thing happening right now because people are so let down by it.
What, the Pixel?
So the Google Pixel 4 was recently announced.
I have a Pixel 3 XL.
Right. And the Google Pixel 4 was announced. It has a pretty neat design. I think the back is very pretty.
I think it's pretty.
The front I do not like. It has a forehead. It has a forehead. But it's also missing some features that the Google Pixel 3 has.
So what features are missing?
Well, there's certain, like, it has a very bad battery, which is a huge thing.
Oh, no.
The battery
I love my
is
battery.
tiny. Like, it's like a 2800 milliamp battery 2800 milliamp hour battery for the base phone. Mm-hmm. That's unheard of, especially running Android, because Android does not...
It does. It eats a lot of data.
Like, compared to iOS, which is designed Like, Apple designs all the processors and everything that goes into it so they can make a small battery work.
Right.
Because it's less processor intensive. Android does not. So Android, like, this phone has awful battery life. Some people are saying 4 hours of screen on time. The average phone has 8. So the battery's shit.
I'm not into it.
It does not have a front-facing camera. Or, I mean, not front-facing camera. It does have a wide-angle front-facing camera, which a lot of people, that was a big selling point for them on the Pixel 3. Like, that's the thing that tipped them over to getting it.
It is useful.
Because you can take have more friends in your shots with your selfies.
Yeah, and I don't use it that often, but it is useful to be able to, like, drag in and drag out.
Exactly. And then also, everybody's switching to 3-camera layouts on the backs of their phones.
The little stovetop burners.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some have, like, straight lines. Some have a circle. It's just dependent on the phone. But they only have 2. So everybody's been adding a wide-angle lens to the back of the phone. Mm-hmm. So wide-angle, telephoto, and a standard lens. Mm-hmm. They did not add a wide-angle lens. They only added a telephoto. And a lot of people are upset about that as well. Because the camera, in all honesty, the Pixel used to be known for its camera and how amazing its camera is. And its camera's still okay, but compared to the iPhone 11 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy, whatever the fuck.
Which is weird to me because the last 2 campaigns, I remember for the Pixel 3 specifically, it's all about pictures.
Yes.
That campaign was big on pictures. They had different all the features of your photos was in every advertisement I saw. And then I want to say with the Pixel 2, it was the same way, except that one was more about storage. Like, you had unlimited storage through Google. Mm-hmm. So, like, pictures have been a big marketing. Yeah, I know.
They didn't get rid of it completely. So, for the first 3 phones, if you bought their phone, you had unlimited photo storage at original file size, which is a big deal because if you want to go in and edit it, you have more detail to zoom in, crop, whatever, and make it look good. Well, now it's unlimited storage at compressed, which a lot of people are mad about as well. That's another feature missing. But also, I've watched a couple of videos just because it's been fascinating to me about how different this phone is. The camera on the Google Pixel 3 is better than the Google Pixel 4, in my opinion. Yeah. Like, they did side-by-side comparisons of everything.
No, my camera's incredible. I'm not interested in the 4.
And then also, the video quality is shit. But, I mean, the video quality on a Pixels have never been on par with an iPhone. It was the pictures that were better.
I would say that's true. I don't use my video a lot, but when I do, like, if Daniel uses his work iPhone, the videos look better. Like, when we go to kids stuff.
Right. And then also do you know what HDR is? It's called high dynamic range. It's where, say you have your phone facing you and behind you is like a tree line and it's dark, but then also above you is the sky with a bunch of clouds in the sky. Mm-hmm. With HDR, you'll see both the dark and the light. You'll see the detail in the clouds. So it's basically, if you were to use like a DSLR camera, you'd have to take 3 pictures, focusing on the 3 different areas and then piece the pictures together. Anything with
HDR, like, it automatically does that for you,
but
which is pretty advanced.
It doesn't in video.
No, it doesn't in video.
On the iPhones and the Galaxies, it does. And the video on the Pixel 4 looks worse than the Pixel 3.
I think it's just because they probably lost so much money on the 3.
Maybe. Because the people hated that notch. That notch was such an ugly
design. It doesn't bother me. So, I mean, I get it. Aesthetics are important to a lot of people.
And also,
but I care more about my features.
The other thing that shocked me about this, it's more expensive than the iPhone.
Yeah.
The Pixel 4 is more expensive than the iPhone. That doesn't make sense. It's always been a mid-range phone. It's $800 for the base model one with the tiny battery. It doesn't make sense.
That's economics, though.
No. I think they think because Samsung and Apple, who are bringing a premium device with premium features.
Samsung does have nice phones, though.
I hate Samsung for being intellectual property thieves, but their phones are fucking beautiful now.
For years before I got on the Pixel train.
Their phones are fucking beautiful. Like, I can't deny that. Like, that, what is it, the Note 4 or the Note, Note 10 or whatever the hell it is? That really just gorgeous square display. Like, I think it's beautiful.
Well, the S series, though, that's a really good phone, too.
Yeah.
All of the S's. Because I had everything from the S2 all the way up to the 6 before I switched to Pixel. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm going to wait for Pixel 5, see what's cracking there. And if I'm not impressed, I may go back to Samsung.
And it also has old processors. That's another crazy thing. And then one feature they did add, which is super gimmicky, is it has sonar on the front of the screen. Or radar, I'm sorry. It has radar on the front of the screen.
What do I need a radar for?
So, like, it's really, really not worth the ugly forehead. Because the reason it has...
what do I need that for?
So, Well, I just want to explain. They changed the design of the front of the phone because of this feature.
Sure.
And it's ugly.
So,
a lot of people think it's ugly.
Okay, let's move beyond ugly, because maybe if I would use it,
it's not justified. And that's what I'm trying to get at. That's trying to get to.
No. Listen.
The design isn't justified for the features of what you get. So what the whole point of this sonar thing is, say radar thing, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Say your hands are dirty and you need to skip a song. You can swipe your hand over the phone and it'll switch the song. That's really the only thing it's useful for right now.
Who? Okay.
And then it's always on, so it's always heating up your battery. So, like, say you're going to unlock your phone. That's why they're saying it has they got rid of the fingerprint scanner also.
I don't
It's all face.
I love mine.
And it works with your eyes closed. Whereas with the iPhone, your eyes have to be open for security. So somebody can't just hold your phone up to your face in their sleep. With this,
Why take away the fingerprint thing? I love my finger. It's so convenient. You just... all in one motion. Pick up your phone and unlock it. It's not a fully thought out phone. No, it's not.
And so...
so Pixel 4, we're passing.
Yeah.
Even though I love Google.
I think the back is really pretty, though. It's like matte black on the edges.
I think it's a pretty phone.
I think the back is pretty. But...
it doesn't bother me.
Oh, one other thing. This is just really exciting. And it's for both the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 3. And I was mentioning this to you while you were smoking. Because she smokes, if you didn't know. No.
Oh, my God.
I didn't. I just found out today. But
forehead slap. 5 head slap.
So she if we ever do t-shirts, oh my God, you smoke, is going to be one of them.
I'm not buying that shirt. I don't support it.
I'll wear it every single time we record.
I can't even talk to you right now.
But anyway, so they have a new feature called astrophotography mode, which lets you take a picture of the fucking stars in the sky, which if you've ever tried to take a picture with even a DSLR, you have to know what the fuck you're doing in order to do it.
You have to have a special lens. You have to have a certain aperture and no, it's true.
Well, no,
I cannot do it with like a portrait mode lens.
I was able to do it with I have like a standard, I have a what is it? Canon.
Is it a DSLR?
It's a DSLR. It's a Canon.
Okay, so when you say astro mode, I think about when people capture pictures of the Milky Way.
Well, I mean, if it's out, you can see it. But like taking pictures of stars and shit, you can take pictures of stars.
Yeah, anyway, I can, but it's to me astro mode is like.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna be able to see the fucking nebula or anything.
Well, that's what astro mode is.
Well, I mean, I feel like the pictures are kind of over. The pictures they showed are over exaggerations of what it can actually do.
I mean, they're definitely enhanced, but the fact that you can get those colors, period, on a lens is important.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. It's very cool. But anyway, it's coming to the Pixel 3 as well. So people are like, well, why the fuck do I need the Pixel 4? There's no features.
Well, I mean, mine's pretty much still new. When I get the update, we'll try it.
Okay.
And see what it turns out. See if it's really worth all the hype.
And we'll post a picture to Instagram.
Yeah.
So moving on from a little tech news, let's go first and talk about Tati Westbrook.
Oh my God, I cried.
I didn't.
When I watched the video. I did. I cried.
It was a good video.
I'm a huge Tati Westbrook fan. I really, really like her. I think she's so genuine. Probably one of the nicest people on YouTube.
She looks so happy.
And the hardest worker, I would say. She's the only one that never breaks her schedule.
No, I completely agree. No,
she made a whole video to her fans saying that she could no longer do 5 days a week. She had to go to 3. Like, that is someone who carefully thinks out what they're doing.
No, absolutely. I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing.
I just really respect her.
Because I thought about the video footage.
Oh.
And there's like I think this is the same video. It's her and Jeffree Star getting out of like a Lamborghini and walking onto a private jet. And I was like, okay, girl, we get it. You're flexing.
Oh, I like that video.
That was just like,
but she only flexes with Jeffree.
I rolled my eyes, but
no, I'm glad.
Like,
I really like it. I'm into it. Basically, she's releasing. Okay, so. If you don't know, Tati Westbrook has a company called Halo Beauty. Mm-hmm. When she announced Halo Beauty, there was a ton of shit. She got dragged through the mud. People assumed she was going to be like every other influencer and start releasing makeup. Right. They accused her of like trying to sell supplements to younger kids and that she wasn't really interested in vitamins. And she basically was like, I talk about vitamins in every other video.
She really does,
You really are not a fan. You really don't watch. You don't know what you're talking about. So people started digging up stuff on her. And they found that she had already trademarked Tati Beauty, and they just assumed that she decided not to do it and went forward with Halo. They had no idea she's been working on this behind the scenes.
Her side hustle.
This was her other passion.
But she did actually, after all the backlash, she did say, look, I am working on cosmetics.
Yeah.
But this was where I wanted to go first, because I think you have to have a good base of healthy skin and hair.
But I think people also assume that Halo Beauty would eventually start doing makeup products as well.
I thought that too. It made sense from a brand point. You already have an established, successful $1 million brand.
Oh, and it's very successful. Halo Beauty is super successful.
It sells out constantly. Like it's really good. People love the results.
Yeah.
So
and you can see all the results on Instagram at Halo Beauty.
And so I thought it would be a smart branding move to under Halo Beauty, let's go ahead and have Halo Beauty actual makeup, because it's already established. People are comfortable with it, because when she first launched it, people were coming at it, and now they realize, okay, she knows what she's talking about. It's good. She's built that brand trust. And so from a branding perspective, it would have made sense. But she decided to keep it separate, which I think makes sense from a beauty influencer standpoint, because a lot of times beauty influencer makeup lines go south. And so if this makeup line does not go well... Like
Laura Lee Los Angeles.
I mean, I thought she's still releasing shit.
She hasn't released anything in like a year.
Well, I mean, to be fair, she has been dealing with family shit. She just adopted her niece and all that stuff.
Her niece is pretty much grown. Well, she's 14.
Pretty much grown, girl. She's still got 4 years. A lot can happen in that 4 years.
Listen, I'm just saying.
Okay.
For someone who doesn't put out 3 videos a week and is always going to dinner and parties. And the thing is I really like Laura Lee Los Angeles. That lipstick is some of my
And she loves the highlight.
Oh, I love the highlight is incredible. Those are some of my favorite products. I wear a Laura Lee Los Angeles liquid lip probably 3 times a week out of all the lipsticks I have, and I have at least 50. They are my favorite.
Are you sure she hasn't released anything in the last year? I feel
you
like she
can check.
has.
No. I said it's been almost a year.
Let's see.
He's checking. Anyway, Tati released it's like her version. That's the Nudie Patootie palette. Right. So no. But she released...
Yeah, she's about to release some sort of liner or brushes.
Okay. I'd be down to check out brushes. She released... I forget what the palette's called. Can you look it up really quick on Tati Beauty?
Sure.
She's doing something different. It's very well thought out. She's doing a neutral palette, but it's not just neutral. It's like...
Textured Neutrals Volume 1.
That's it. So it's textured neutral. So it's every neutral you could ever think that you would need for your collection. But then it also has shimmers and pressed pigments and glitters and everything mixed into it. And all of them have a color story. And it looks beautiful.
And very usable.
And very usable.
That's the thing I've always liked about Tati Westbrook is she very much thinks about the average consumer. When it comes to her reviews, she's going to say, okay, from this price point, and this price point, you can get this kind of look. You can get this on a budget if you needed to. But also, this is what the average woman is going to wear. She's never doing really crazy things, which, I mean, there of course is a market for really crazy, like, neon face looks or whatever. But... More often than not, more women are going to go to their good smoky eye, like nude smoky eye, and call it a day.
I'm thinking so the last palette I really bought was the Adeline Morin X Tarte palette. It is super usable and I love it and I wear it all the time, and I have all different colors in my collection because I genuinely love eyeshadow palettes.
But she plays.
I play. If you're someone who's looking to maybe be more curious about makeup, I would check out Tati. Tati does a lot of great videos. Like, she does expensive, and she's like, this is not really worth it. Here's a cheaper option. She really talks about the texture and the quality and the pigment. If you want to learn about makeup and maybe just want to watch a 20-minute video, because who's your girl? Because sometimes she goes too in-depth for
Stephanie Nicole?
Stephanie Nicole. She's good, too, but sometimes she gets so into it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not that...
concerned about chemicals.
I mean, like, I totally appreciate where she's coming from. And she clearly is also super passionate. And I do like her videos, but I'm going to go to Tati first.
Have you checked Jen Love's reviews?
No.
I love her, too. She's very similar to Stephanie Nicole, but she is a lot more peppy and less dry. So sometimes it's easier to take in the information.
But that's why I like Stephanie Nicole, though.
No, I do, too, but some people find her too harsh or too cold. So if you want facts about products, Jen Love's reviews... you'd also love her because I think she was a special needs teacher as well. Yeah. And so she has that background. Like, she recently did a collaboration where all the proceeds went towards her old school.
I'm so into that.
I love her. You should check her out. But anyway.
Stephanie Nicole is good, but some people just don't
like her personality.
I
love it.
Which, if you don't like it, you need to look at yourself, because some people are just like dry and sarcastic, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to be that way. Tati is a different personality too. I will say that, because I did watch her videos when I was a little bit younger, and I was like, oh, I don't get the right vibe. I think it's a northern, like a, what is that? We're on the east. I think it's a northwest Seattle, Washington kind of vibe, because I met a teacher that was from that area. They had the exact same personality. And after I got to know her, I was like, I understand Tati now. Like, I get it. So she grows on you if you're not into that kind of like dry, quiet, almost, it's, I want to say.
She's an introvert.
She's definitely an introvert. I don't know.
I like her a lot.
It's really, really, I love her videos. I will binge them sometimes. Her voice is very soothing.
My only concern is she has those sparkly pressed pigments that that Jeffree Star had, that Laura Lee had, and that Manny MUA had, and all of those had breakage problems. Yeah, whenever they were shipped out.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really half of that fucking palette is that.
Yeah,
and so I'm concerned about that.
Oh, and it's 24 shades.
Yeah, it's a lot. No, it's a big ass palette.
It's beautiful.
It looks like
I want it.
The size of one of those Morphe palettes.
It's gonna sell out.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm not gonna get it on the first release, and that's okay.
I'm really happy for her. Now,
really quick. I'm sorry. I am a big Pretty Little Liars fan. I watch Shay Mitchell's YouTube channel. A baby. So I've been watching her series called Almost Ready, and it was like 6 or 7 parts about her being pregnant, hiding it from everyone because she miscarried like semi early. Like, I don't even think it was like, I think it was after 12 weeks, which can be rare. And so I watched the video of when she had the baby, and it took me back to like me delivering my babies, and I cried like at work watching it. It was terrible. I must be like PMSing, because I'm crying a lot lately, and I don't like to do that.
Maybe, but also you've been going through a lot.
Oh my God.
So you've been keeping it together just how it's a build.
I just told Stephanie this too.
Okay, good. So you've been talking to Stephanie about it?
Well, I just had therapy this week, and I was like, I'm okay. And she was like, are you? And I was like,
no,
I'm keeping it together. And I teared up a little bit, and she was like, okay, well, I don't think you sound depressed, so just keep an eye on that. And I was like, okay. And she was like, I mean, do you need to like cry? I think she's trying to get me there. And I was like, never. No, I don't have time for that. Like, I literally cannot break down. I have so much to do this week. And she was like, okay. Like, I'll just pencil you in for next week.
We'll be crying at 9:30. Get ready.
Oh, God. It's a lot. It's been a lot.
Miss INTJ.
I didn't realize how much switching to Monday through Friday would really affect my mental health.
In a good or bad way?
Bad. I liked having 2 days to myself with no one around and getting everything done. And now I feel like I'm always behind and doing stuff. And so like I didn't have to help, but I helped my sister-in-law with a lesson this week, which was really important to me to do it. I wanted to do it. It's about humanizing kids, and she's teaching a class, and we had some real life examples, and I helped with that. And that was really important to me. And I don't know. I got to do laundry. There's just a lot. There's a lot happening on my end, and I don't handle stress well.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing she's been stressing about is Lizzo being sued.
I'm so depressed.
No.
Call Stephanie. The tears are coming.
So somebody is suing her. You know, I told myself I was going to have more details about this, but it slipped my mind because somebody else is suing her, or talking about suing her at least. So, in regards to this, somebody's saying, I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that bitch, was their line, but this is the second person to come forward and saying that, because it's a fucking good-ass line.
It is a good line.
But I also don't think you can copyright a saying
I feel
that.
like the only people that can really sue her is Ancestry. That's their line.
I'm 100% that bitch.
No, because their lines are always like, I took a DNA test, and it turns out I'm like 70%. Like, that was them. They started that.
I never knew that. I just thought it was a
yeah, that was their advertisement. And so, like, if they're not suing her, calm the fuck down. But also, I did tell Mario, I was like, I had a moment where I was like, she made it. People are trying to sue her.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, first come the gays, then come the straights, then comes, like, pop culture, and then people start hating on you.
Yeah.
And it's been happening a lot for her lately.
Now, the one that was bigger to me that caught my eye, do you know who Cece Peniston is? Finally, it happened to me.
Yeah,
she sang Juice copied that song.
She sang Juice?
Cece is saying that Juice copied that song because in Juice she's yeah, blame it. But in Finally she says yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
It's different tempo.
It's different tempo. And also, like, when you write a song, it goes through this whole process of where they say it doesn't sound like anything else. You can go ahead and do it. Or it comes back and it doesn't. And you can't, or it does and you can't do it. There's a whole process to that.
Is there?
Yeah.
Because, like, people got sued all the fucking time, and then they will, like
those are people
Pharrell.
Pharrell didn't do it. He opted not to on that song.
Oh. How do we know Lizzo did it?
I feel like she would have. I'm assuming, but also I feel like people are fucking haters, and you just want some of her money. Let the girl live.
I mean, CeCe Peniston hasn't had a hit since that song in, like, the early 90s.
So people are just grasping. So we are diving into Scott Peterson. Listen, we're going to try not to make this a 2-hour episode. It is a school night. We are recording later in the week than we normally do, but we got a lot of information. Grab some wine, grab a snack, grab a makeup palette, and play, because we were talking about Scott Peterson, and he is one messy bench.
This is for you, Jasmine. We'll be right back.
All right, guys, we're here. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so here's what we're doing. Mario's going to... If you don't know about Scott and Laci Peterson, you're about to know now. It's a domestic violence. If you believe he did it, it's a domestic violence situation. If you don't believe he did it, it's basically a conspiracy theory wrapped up in enigma. Very, very confusing. Mario and I have different opinions, and that's okay.
And I think we should start off, because when we're giving this information, we're biased. So I'm going to start off by saying I don't think he did it, or rather, I don't think there is enough evidence to prove that he did it in a court of law.
Okay.
Because you have to prove without a reasonable doubt that this crime was committed by this person.
So I don't think there's enough evidence to say that he did it either, but I believe that he had something to do with it.
Something?
I genuinely do. And so we're going to go through the facts of basically Laci and Scott meeting, how they got together, about their relationship, and then also there's some surprise guest appearances by mistresses. And then we're going to talk about the timeline of the day that Laci disappeared. This originally was a missing persons case.
Correct.
And then we're going to go through that, and I think Mario and I are going to have a fun little debate about what we think.
Oh, well, I don't know if it's going to necessarily be a one-on-one direct debate, but I think as we go on, we're going to go back and forth about things.
Okay.
I can see it happening. Because
I have a whole list of things. Listen, in preparation for this, Jasmine, I don't know you, but I feel like I know you. And just for you, I re-listened to the podcast episodes. I watched a documentary on Hulu. I watched a documentary on YouTube, the 3-part one. I think I found the one that you were talking
Stephanie
about.
Harlowe's?
Yes.
Oh my God, I watched hers too.
It was really good. So
I love her.
We will link all of this, of course.
New Obsession. Really quickly, I know it's not recommendations yet, but it's relevant to this. If you've never seen Stephanie Harlowe on YouTube and you love true crime, watch her. Her videos are so in-depth. And I'm the kind of person who loves a long-ass YouTube video.
Me too.
She'll do multi-part episodes where they're like an hour and a half each.
I hate short. Why do people like short YouTube videos? I want to go down a hole.
Yes.
I want to be like eyeballs deep in a strange channel. I want to have clicked skip 85 times. I want carpal tunnel from falling asleep and holding my phone up. I'm into a long-ass video.
So me too. Like, I do too. I love just not having to find anything else, but also I love getting told a story. Like, I've been watching so many of her videos. I've been watching about Madeleine McCann, which I never followed.
Yeah.
I watched her John Bonet video, which was fantastic. She also thinks Burke did it, but did not want to say it in the video because she doesn't want to get fucking sued because he's suing everybody who says it.
Burke, you did it.
Oh,
Come at me, bruh.
And that's how he lost her house.
I just took a DNA test. Turns out you're 100% murderer.
Oh.
Yep. Anyway, so we have thoroughly prepared for this. Like, we have never prepared for anything
Our
in our
docket
lives.
is 7 pages.
7 pages,
The longest
guys.
docket in the history of our dockets, just like the John Bonet.
So we're going to throw a bunch of facts at you. When we're done, I have a whole list of reasons. I basically sat down with all the information I had. It's still handwritten on paper over there. And I said, not guilty, guilty beside every single thing. And I put not guilty when the evidence didn't prove he did it. And then I found out at the end that most of the things I felt he was guilty about is my own perception.
Right.
So that's why I say there's not enough evidence to convict him, but I still think he has something to do with it. So Mario,
Definitely.
without further ado,
Okay.
Scott us away.
So we're going to start off with Scott's early life. Scott's mother, Jackie, actually had 2 kids that she gave up for adoption. Then she had her 3rd son, and they pretty much told her, like, look, this looks bad. You might want to keep this one. So she kept him. That was his older brother, John. So they moved and met Laci Peterson, who is Scott's dad. And they married, and they had Scott together. Now, Scott had 3 other kids from a previous relationship, and he adopted John.
Lee. You said
Scott. Sorry. Lee had 3 other kids from a previous relationship, and he adopted John, but he really only cared about Scott. Scott was their golden boy.
Which is something you need to think about.
Yes, because how
keep it in
they
mind.
view him. No, it's fine. How they view him, and
I was talking to the listeners.
Oh, okay.
You're good. He did his fucking research.
So how they view him really, I think, shaped the kind of person he is. And I think it also led to the reason he is so deceptive. Because when you have so many people looking at you as this perfect person, and you really want this other thing for yourself, but you feel like you're going to fail to let people, or you'll let people down if you don't do what they expect. I think that's one of the things that led to him
and also,
having multiple mistresses.
If you've been told that you can do no wrong, you really feel like you can do no wrong.
That also can be, like, it's like, what is it?
That's detrimental to a development of a child.
Absolutely. No, it's affluenza.
Children are supposed to fail.
Definitely. And so, like, in regard to him being a golden boy, they said he didn't learn to walk till a later age because everybody's carrying around, loving on him, giving him all the attention.
Put your children down, parents.
No, even his father took him to work to play golf with him because he decided, okay, I need to like one of my kids, because he literally has 4 kids, 1 adopted, and this fifth kid, essentially, he needs to give a chance, I guess. Now, his brother John got in trouble in high school, and his parents disowned him. So I think that fear is also something that could have motivated Scott to be deceptive, because if you fuck up, you're done.
I didn't have sex in high school because I knew my mom would kick me out of the house.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
I just didn't tell my parents.
I
didn't tell my parents shit.
Absolutely not. I was scared of being kicked out.
But this led to Scott feeling obliged to not mess up and to be the ideal son. Over the summer, when he was a teen, he worked at a country club, and he got really into golf, more so than when playing with his father. And he actually became like an MVP at his high school. But people from his high school said he was a very nice guy in high school. He never swore. He was a little bit arrogant because he was the MVP golf player. So, like, when it came to golf, he felt himself. But one thing that everybody always mentioned, he was always very calm and reserved, and he did not overreact to anything. This
sounds like a serial killer to me.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not.
You react to things.
I react, but I don't do it in front of people usually. I'll usually do it in front of friends, but in a professional setting, I'll usually keep to myself.
No, I feel you on that.
But I don't know. He is super calm and reserved. This is something that kind of comes back to bite him in the ass.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think it does. Because that's one of the number one reasons the cops suspected him, was because he was not acting like a normal person.
I disagree.
When their wife is missing.
Not only did I do research, I interviewed my super reserved, quiet husband on several points about this case.
That is anecdotal, girl.
It's fine. I'm fine with it.
That is anecdotal and not factual in regards to
I don't care.
This.
I don't care. There's something sketchy about him.
Anyway, he got a golf scholarship because he was so good. And he went to school in Arizona but left after 1 semester. I'm pretty sure he partied too hard. He ended up going to California Polytechnic State University and got a degree in agricultural business. While he was going there, he did work multiple jobs to help pay his way through college. And one of the places he worked was the Pacific Cafe. And this is where he met Laci Peterson. Or actually, she was Laci Rocha at the time.
Laci Rocha.
Rocha.
Rocha. That's how they've been saying it.
You know what? You're right. I'm thinking like Mo Rocha.
I thought Rocha for the longest time until I started watching like documentaries and I read the book.
No, and I trust you on that, girl. I just love Mo. Do you like Mo Rocha?
No.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's that like nerdy gay like guy on NPR. And he was on like the I Love the 70s and 80s and 90s. I'll have to share him with you when we get a chance.
Sounds great.
And he's also on Wait, what did you say? Or what was it? Wait, don't tell me. Do you listen to Wait, Don't Tell Me?
I do.
He's one of the
I feel like I've heard his
judges.
voice. Okay.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
Sure. We are not tangenting anymore after this. There's no more test tangents.
I can't promise that.
We're not. We're getting through this. We're giving people information. Let's be responsible.
I'm being responsible. Oh my gosh, now I feel
Don't
like
drink
I'm
and
in
drive.
trouble. So anyway, he was working, and Laci thought he was super cute, gave her friend who also worked there her number to give to him. He did not think it was serious. He threw the phone number away. But then she did it again, and he agreed to go on a date with her. So for their first date, they actually went deep sea fishing, and she got like super fucking sick. But afterwards, she called her mom and said, you need to come down here because this is the man I'm going to marry and you need to meet him.
She sure did.
And she knew what the fuck she wants. Now, I think Laci Peterson would be a very cool-ass person to meet. Not just because she's a like a very well-known victim, but she sounded like an amazing person.
She did.
And I know people usually will deify people who die young, but based off everything everybody said, she was just a really nice person. So
including Scott's family.
Yes.
So it wasn't just like, oh, we support our son. They still talk wonderfully about her.
Absolutely. And even one of the sisters that his mom gave away for adoption reconnected with them and became good friends with Laci and actually took Laci's side regarding everything that happened, because she thought, what the fuck, like,
because she knows that her brother is a
was reaching out to her.
POS.
Yes. No, their mom was reaching out to her saying, I need you to go check here and ask people around to see if they saw him, to help make sure his alibi's solid. Like, the mom is doing everything she can.
I don't think it's solid.
But I digress. Laci was 5'1". She was described as being strong, brave, and very friendly. She loved gardening since a very young age. She grew up on a dairy farm with her brother Brent.
I love that about her.
And she also really loved movies. And this is something that made me feel like a connection to her in a sense, because she can watch the same movies over and over.
Oh, for sure.
And still laugh, still cry, and I'm the same way. And it's like, oh, like, I don't know.
I get numb after a while, but I still thoroughly enjoy them.
Like that, not saying that she was ever dehumanized to me, but that really made, like, I don't know, it just really helps me see her as the kind of person I'd never.
So a lot, but no, because you're not wrong. A lot of people connected to Laci, and the fact that you didn't know this much about her and then researching her, you connected with her.
Yes,
this is why this murder or this disappearance was like sensationalized. A lot of people connected with Laci.
No, because she just seemed to have such a passion for life.
She's super enigmatic.
But she also, at college, she studied ornamental horticulture, which is essentially flower arrangements. So not even just like being a florist, but also
she was basically an 18th century girl going through like
right,
her proper training.
No, and her parents, one thing to note, her parents did divorce when
she was young.
And they would primarily live with their mom, but they'd go on the weekends to visit their dad.
And she was close to both of her parents.
Yes, and
very
also
close.
This brought her and her brother a lot closer together. Her
True.
brother was very close to her. But anyway, her mother described her as a natural-born housewife. She loved cooking, entertaining, and decorating their home. And
in fact, the night that she disappeared, their table was set up.
Yes.
For their Christmas Eve dinner that they were going to host.
Absolutely. And like, we'll get into this in a minute, but she was also planning meals and wanting to do special things. She's always watching Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
And Martha Stewart actually plays a role in this murder in the sense that she's part of his alibi. And it paid out. But regardless, they dated for 2 years before he proposed. And they got married shortly before she graduated from college. And when she graduated, they actually started a restaurant. So they started a burger place called The Shack. And they positioned it very cleverly to make sure it became a very popular college hangout. And it did. And
it was slow when it started out, but eventually it became steady and then booming and became like really popular.
Absolutely. Her good design for interior design and hosting really paid off. Also, both of them are very charismatic people in that sense. They really love hosting people, having people over for dinner, entertaining people. It's their zhuzh. They loved it.
Their zhuzh, yeah. No, that's a great way to describe it.
And so I think this is another thing that contributed to Scott doing what he did in the sense of
allegedly
cheating. No, I'm talking about cheating.
Oh.
Because he loved this life. He loved having a good time, being young, doing like entertaining friends, just hanging out and being a successful business owner.
He seemed to be in a constant state of a midlife crisis.
Maybe.
That's the vibe that I get from him.
I don't know. I just think he wanted more from life in the sense that also I kind of relate to him in this regard. Growing up, my dad had such high standards for me that I was afraid to do fucking anything. So finally, when I had a little bit of freedom in the sense of after therapy and agreeing to do this, doing what I want to do with my life in terms of going out with friends, doing certain things, going on trips, I felt a lot more free because I don't have to worry about what is my father going to think about
Sure,
this.
I can relate to that. I had the same experiences growing up.
I think also when people live suppressed that long, when they finally have that taste of freedom, they don't want it to go away. So,
but here's the part that I think you're forgetting is that Scott is very childish.
I guess.
Scott has a lot of his responses because I watched interview after interview. I watched Courtroom. I watched the police tape videos, all that. He seems to be selfish.
Yeah.
he's a selfish person. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being selfish.
Having an affair is a very selfish thing.
But I think that his disregard, I think everything that you're saying is absolutely true, but you combine that with someone who is selfish and is not thinking about other people's...
Yeah.
You have the potential for this situation.
It's the empath in me. I always try to find the best in people or try and understand them and why they are the way that they are.
It's the therapy in me. I've realized that even though you are the way that you are, it's not my responsibility to give you any time of day.
Absolutely. Okay, Miss Jeffree Star, it's forgivable. No.
I mean, like I said, if you say sorry for something, I'll give you another chance.
Right.
But I mean, if you do it again, we got a little bit of a problem.
So back to the story.
Yes, sorry. That's the last one, I swear, guys.
So,
stay focused.
In the year 2000, they sold their restaurant for a profit, which is a big deal.
And he did not like that.
Well, it's not that he didn't want to... They moved to Modesto to start a family, and he did not like that because he did not want to have kids.
Everything that I saw said that he loved owning a restaurant. He liked the late hours. He liked that he had most of his mornings off. The restaurant life, the bar life, like owning those kinds of restaurants or businesses was something he was very, very interested in. And he had a purpose, like a better purpose that was more aligned to what he wanted out of life. And so Laci did it to let's own a restaurant together. Her intentions for doing it were completely different than his intentions.
Yeah, and I also think that's kind of a shame to have to give up that big of a chunk of your life or what your aspirations in life to...
I have said it before and I will say it again. Marriage...
is about compromise.
You should be 1000% sure if you marry somebody. And what I mean by that is that a year of dating is not enough. For most people, I think you should live together for more than 2 years. I think that you should realize that the bigger things that irritate you are never going to change. It's been 12 years and my husband still forgets to put gas in the cars.
Oh, she mentioned that today.
But in the grand scheme of things, he makes me so happy. I don't have to give up myself to be with him. And so when you have something like Scott and Laci's situation, she either was going to stay at that restaurant and not have kids and live the life that he liked, or he was going to have to settle down in Modesto.
Exactly.
And have kids.
They shouldn't have been together.
And those are big things. Like, wanting children it's something that no woman should ever have to choose between. But at the same time, a man shouldn't be forced to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're not on the same page, you shouldn't be getting married.
Children is a
That's a deal breaker
thing. Yeah.
I do not want children. So
my husband and I did not want children, and then I got pregnant.
So that's your fault. No,
it totally is. It's 100% my fault.
Well, not just yours, both of y'all's fault.
I mean, we're very attracted to each other.
You were both
so
there.
Yeah.
But regardless, they moved. And this is actually a big point of contention with Scott's mom. Because Scott's mom is, super, 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 that's my son and nobody's good enough for my son and I don't care what you say. And it's not fair that they're moving over there to be closer to her family, but not his family. Now we're even farther away. And
moms of sons, don't do this to your potential daughter-in-laws.
Yeah. So once they got up to Modesto,
my phone.
Scott started working for trade corporation where he would work and travel out of town often.
He was a fertilizer salesman.
And while they were there, they joined the country club and they seemed happy, allegedly.
And I'm sure most of the time they were.
Yeah. And I mean, if he was cheating the whole time, then I'm sure he was happy.
So at this point, I feel like we should interject and say that it is known that Scott had an affair with at least 4 women.
4 women, yes.
At least 4. We don't know the names of 3 of them. And it was while they were married.
And allegedly, Laci knew about them.
Allegedly, which I believe. I've watched documentaries where her sisters were like, there's no way she would tell us. And I'm like, no.
That's a lot.
If you don't want the facade of your perfect marriage, perfect couple, you're pregnant, you're hosting, your life looks perfect. For a woman who has those ideals, letting people know about contention in your marriage is... It will break you.
Yeah, and also open marriages are a thing.
I don't know that it was an open marriage. I think
either.
I think it is more likely that she was like, fine, whatever. And then let's just keep being married and being happy. That happens more often than you think.
No, that's what Wendy Williams was in. Wendy Williams, as long as your side piece doesn't get...
We're not talking about Wendy Williams. We are not. I draw the line. I will give up Jeffree Star if it's that important to you.
How you doing, girl?
No, I hate her. I think she's terrible. I think she's just... Oh, my God. I don't like Wendy Williams at all.
So, they joined the country club. They seemed very happy.
I don't like people who are messy just to be messy.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I don't like that. And again, if you have a platform, it's so important. Watch The Good Place, Wendy. You're breaking every rule. I just don't. I don't know. There's something about her. I don't know.
I used to be a fan. And then everything that happened with her husband, I kind of felt for her.
I feel bad for her.
But that's what I was saying. Like, she's like, I just want to stay married. I'm happy, but if you have to have a side piece, whatever,
what we're saying is it happens more often than you guys think.
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily an open marriage. It's someone who doesn't want to talk about the problems, is too embarrassed to tell anyone about the problems.
Or too hurt to talk about it.
Or too hurt. It's a combination of all of that.
It's easier to ignore it than acknowledge it's happening.
Yeah, and it's very possible. Laci seems like one of those demure, like she's a born housewife. It kind of fits along the pattern of women who choose that path in those kind of marriages. This is not a judgment. I have a really good friend who's like this, and I don't want to say her name, but
it's a very white people thing.
It's a very white Southern thing too. Because I have a friend who's in a marriage and everybody knows it's not a good marriage, but we all pretend like it is.
Ooh.
And we like her pictures on Facebook because it's too hard for her to talk about or admit because it scares her. That's another part of it.
Yeah.
It scares you.
Because you're used to financial stability.
Yeah. You're used to a partner.
And then now a child's involved because in 2002...
So it's possible. And it's not judgment. These are just the way some people choose to operate. And it's sad. And if you are in a marriage like that, give me a call. I will give you the confidence to get out. Mm-hmm. But... You know, I don't think marriage should be like that. My marriage is not like that. And I'm very, very happy most days. So it just makes me sad.
That's great.
Marriage should be a good thing.
No, it definitely should be.
But I do think they got married too young and too fast.
Perhaps. But, and so when he says Laci knew, I believe Laci knew.
I think so. I believe that too. It's one of the few things I believe. I think there's some truth in that.
Absolutely. So Connor... Peterson was conceived in 2002. Mm-hmm. And that's the last thing I really have. Going forward, we're going to be talking about the timeline. The timeline
leading up to her disappearance and then also the court case.
Correct. So on the 23rd, they actually went to Laci's sister, who's a hairdresser, to get Scott's haircut. Mm-hmm. And there they were talking about a fruit basket that she had to pick up for their grandfather.
Scott offered to pick it up.
Oh, no, she had to pick it up first, and she had a very busy day booked of clients, so Scott offered to say, hey, I can pick it up for you, that's not a problem. The sister,
not Laci.
Right.
I'm just trying to be clear.
Absolutely. And then he invited her over for pizza and football to watch the football game after she was done, but she declined.
I declined when there's football involved too, girl.
Same. Usually, unless he's really cute.
Unless I can sit down and, knit during the whole process, I just don't give a fuck.
I'll put myself through some shit for a cute face.
I don't watch football. I support Go Falcons. That's my best, supportive voice.
See, I always say Falcons because of...
Falcons? I'm going to say that next time.
Because Delphia from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie said Falcons.
The only sport I watch is really MMA and sometimes soccer. And sometimes baseball.
Oh. I don't watch sports.
I like MMA a lot.
Philip DeFranco, who does news on YouTube.
I'm sorry, you said DeFranco, and I was thinking about what's his name.
I don't know.
I was like, who would give him a YouTube channel? Oh, God, what's his name? DeFranco. They're all screaming it at me right now. He's an actor.
James DeFranco?
And I was like, why the fuck Franco. Would anyone give him a... Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a really long 2 weeks.
So... Philip DeFranco actually has a t-shirt that just says sports with an exclamation point.
Oh my God, I need this shirt.
I want it so bad. They do it in runs. So next time it's out, I'll let you know.
Nobody would get it because we live in the football capital of the world.
No, absolutely. The South is home of college football.
We did a team sports day in my new department. I wore Daniel's soccer shirt, and he had explained to me the emblem. I was like, "Wait, is this a sports team?" He was like, "That's the FIFA soccer logo." And I was like, "Great, so can I wear it?" And he was like, "Sure." Everyone else had on football, had on soccer.
It's the logo of a corrupt organization.
It's fine.
Spirit fingers.
I wore it. I participated.
Work. I don't know what I'd wear.
Yay, sports.
I want the shirt. That's a sports exclamation point.
Notice I did not do anything sports related when I was in charge of the morale team.
Work.
But I'm the only person who doesn't watch football.
Well, is there a boy running the morale team?
No.
Wow.
She loves it. That's all she does during the fall. She tailgates, my trainer. She tailgates every weekend, and she bets on the football games every weekend. And she is hardcore a football fan. She is huge into it. The guy I train with is really into it. To be fair, though, he went to Alabama University, so I feel like that's fair. Like, if you go to that university, cool. Like, I feel like I'd be like, yay, Cougars, if they had a football team.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Sports.
No, yay.
Sports. But anyway,
we're going to get in. So, Laci disappeared on December 24th.
I didn't finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that you did.
No.
They watched The Rookie? Oh, okay. Sorry.
So anyway, she declined. And Scott says they left the salon, and it says salad. I'm sorry. They left the salon.
I don't care. You care.
Oh, it bothers me.
Oh, I know. I'll fix it.
Thank you. So they left the salon. They got pizza and watched football, like they said. And then before bed, they watched The Rookie, and then they went to sleep. And that's what he says happened that day. And going forward, we're going to be talking about his account of the day Laci disappeared.
And of course, this is the only account that we have. Laci has passed. Do you want me to read this? Are you tired of talking?
No, I'm not. I mean, because I feel like you're going to be going in with all these other things.
Yeah. Roll with it, homie.
I'm fine with this.
Okay. Mario is going to give you a brief synopsis of what happened the 24th. So at this point, we will not have any more tangents because this is crucial. Oh. Pay attention. If you haven't been paying attention, if my voice annoys you, pay attention now. Mario.
Episode title suggestion, no more tangents.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. You got this, Mario.
This is the fourth time we've said
no, but like this part really is critical. Like
right.
This stuff is important. You need to take all this into account.
So the morning of the 24th, Laci got up early because he said she has to get up early and eat or else she'll feel really sick.
Very true.
So later on that morning, he got up at 8 and had cereal like she did. He took a shower, and after his shower, they were talking about her making a French toast bake that she was going to bring to Christmas brunch. And she was telling him about the ingredients she had to go get and what she was planning on doing and how she had to soak the bread for a certain amount of time before she could bake it. Just going into details on that. Then she said she was going to walk the dog, mop the floor, and
which
make
Mackenzie
cookies.
Also is the dog, and that's going to be a crucial part of this timeline.
It is. So the last time something I accidentally skipped. I'm sorry. When they were at the salon, her sister was showing her how to flip out her hair with the curling iron because she didn't like how it was laying currently after she had just gotten it cut. So he said the last time he saw her, she was sitting on a bench that she had pulled into the bathroom. Because it was so much for her to stand in a small bathroom with the heat of the curling iron, and she's pregnant. She's 8 months, right? 8 months at this time.
Yes.
So she's flipping her hair.
If you think that's ridiculous and maybe you're a dude, strap a bowling ball to your belly and then just stand there.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking hard to stand up when you're 8 months pregnant.
I'd believe it. I'd absolutely believe it. But he went and loaded 2 patio umbrellas into his truck. A neighbor even saw him and said hi and said they were acting completely normal, nothing suspicious. Then he went inside and filled up a mop bucket for Laci. Now,
which Daniel did for me all the time when I was pregnant.
Absolutely. Now, there is kind of a point of contention with him doing this because they had a maid coming, and the day before, the maid was there, and she cleaned the house.
But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
8 months pregnant, to be fair, and there are going to be some points where I feel like I'm siding with Scott, and some points where I'm siding with my own intuition, and I'm always going to go with my own intuition. When you are 8 months pregnant, for the most part, you are nesting really hard and bringing your first child into a home that doesn't feel clean enough. Maybe it's clean, but it doesn't feel clean enough. That is an overwhelming sensation. One time I cried heavily about it, and I wanted to paint our apartment, and Daniel refused to let me paint. Because the fumes are bad.
Oh, yes.
The fumes are bad. And he was like, just let me do it. But he wasn't doing like a crazy person.
He wasn't doing it right.
He wasn't doing it fast enough for me. Like, I needed it done right then and there. I'm a controlling person. When you're pregnant, it gets worse. Like whatever you have about your personality, it gets worse. He came back. I'd already painted half the living room because he went to go get a ladder. He was so mad at me. I can totally see a maid coming and Laci going, it's just not done right, and I'm having a baby in a month. We have to do this now.
And also, with the maid being there, she mentioned there was not a bench in the bathroom when she was there that the day before.
Right, so that's important
and
because
when they checked the house, when the
bench was there.
The bench was there, exactly.
Yeah.
So Laci was also watching Martha Stewart, and she was talking about making meringue cookies. And
Very
this
true.
was on Good Morning America, and it was true. This actually happened on this specific day. In 2002, she was talking about that. And Laci was talking about potentially doing that. He left the house at 9:30 and drove 9 minutes to his warehouse, which is where he kept his boat and had his office space, where he would also store his shipments of fertilizer before he go and deliver them out.
Very true.
And so he checked his voicemail, and he had gotten one from his boss. So when he got there, he immediately logged into his email and emailed his boss regarding the voicemail. He also Googled how to assemble a specific woodworking tool that he had just received. So all of this has timestamps. It's proven he was here doing this at this time.
Yep.
Then there's 20 minutes that's unaccounted for. But they do say the tool that he received that he Googled how to assemble was assembled now.
And the instructions were out on his bench in his workspace, and it could have taken 20 minutes or less to assemble.
Absolutely. So that could account for his missing time.
Yeah.
He then unloaded the truck, but one thing I did find out is he didn't unload the umbrellas, which I thought was strange. I thought he'd be putting the umbrellas there, but I guess not. I'm not sure. Maybe they were planning on taking it over to the mother-in-law's house. But while he was doing this, he cut his finger on a toolbox, or a tool in his toolbox, and there they found a spot of blood in the car, in his truck. But he did have a fresh cut on his finger as well. And then while
Which
he was
I would like to point out, if Laci did fight back at all in any way, it would probably be more than just like a cut on his finger.
Correct.
So I don't feel like that's a defensive wound.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with that. Like, some people argue that, and I'm like,
It's
one
a
cut
single-
on a finger? Like,
Yeah,
that's not
you'd
how
have
that
scratches
works.
or something.
All over your fucking face.
Absolutely. Now, while he was at the warehouse, their dog Mackenzie was found wandering around without Laci. She had her leash on at 10:30 a.m. Their neighbor recognized
the
her
dog, not Laci.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The dog recognized.
Laci's walking around with a leash around her neck.
Oh my god.
Honey, we're going for a walk. Great, grab your leash.
Stop. Oh my god.
You have to laugh at the tragedy of the world, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. So Mackenzie was found by the neighbor. The neighbor recognized her as their dog, so she went and put her in the yard so she didn't get lost. I don't know if maybe she just thought the dog got out or something. I don't know. She didn't really question it.
And so this right here, I've done the same thing. Like, my neighbor, maybe 3 doors down, their dog will get out all the time, and I'll see the dog, and then I'll put him in the backyard if nobody's home. So I believe that happened too.
It's a very neighborly thing.
I know all my
Also,
neighbors really well.
While she was out on her walk, there were multiple people who said they saw her because she was a very well-known neighbor. She was so friendly and so outgoing. Everybody knew her. She was very pretty and pregnant.
She's 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, she's very pretty, friendly, and pregnant. So, of course, everybody knows her. She talks, waves, everybody says hi.
Sure.
So there are multiple people who said they saw her on this walk at this time. Before the dog, of course. Before she got taken, we guess. But while this is happening, or after this happening, he drove 90 minutes away to the marina in the San Francisco Bay. And he does have a ticket showing when he got there and when he launched his boat. He did take his boat out and anchored it down at Brooks Island and trolled for fish. But something that's noted is that he forgot the right fishing tool, or the fishing lures. He had freshwater lures and not saltwater lures, so he wasn't really having much success. He stated he talked to a couple of guys about fishing at the marina, and then he said there were some maintenance men laughing at him, struggling to get his boat on the trailer.
Of course, that's what you remember, Scott.
Well, I mean, I'd be embarrassed too, girl. I mean, if
I wouldn't be embarrassed. Like, I'm doing my best. Like, if you're laughing at me, congratulations. I'm glad I could bring you humor.
I'd be so embarrassed.
Why?
Because I look stupid. I don't like to look stupid.
Whatever.
But
how bored are you that you find me funny? That's what I think.
Now, they did go back and ask around, and there were maintenance guys there did say, yeah, they did see a guy like that, and they were laughing at him. So that corroborates the story to a degree. The boat, fishing poles, and lure were bought that month. He also had a 2-day fishing license for the 24th and the 25th. Now, some people think that's suspicious.
I do. I think it's suspicious.
But at the same time, oftentimes with fishing licenses, it's for the year. So if you've just bought this boat and you want to go out, why are you going to spend $30 to fish for the entire month when you only know you're going to be fishing on 2 specific days that you have off, instead of spending $12 to buy the 2-day pass?
Do you want to know why?
Why?
most of the time when you get your fishing license, they give you the option, and it's cheaper to pay for a year.
It is usually cheaper to pay for a year, but it's for that year. So if it's December 2nd or 9th, whatever the fuck, whenever he got his boat.
But you're talking,
why are you going to pay $30 for a whole year when you only know you're going to be fishing on these 2 days?
Here's my problem, though, is that normally you buy your fishing license online. Especially 2002, you buy your fishing license online.
No, you don't. You go to Walmart.
No, sir. Most people buy their fishing licenses online. It's super easy. Daniel does it. It's very, very easy.
In 2002, though?
Absolutely.
Because the internet was not that big back then.
But he was just on the computer. So if this is true, I have more of a belief that he did it on the computer. But also, you typically buy these things in advance. Like if you buy at the marina you're going to, it can be very costly, even if it's only for 2 days. That's why it is cheaper to do it online or over the phone.
But the reason I say this is because...
But he was supposed to go golfing that day.
That's what he said he was doing. But he did say...
But that's what he said.
When he got to his warehouse, he realized it was too cold, so he decided to take his
So he bought a 2-day license at the marina. Yeah, that's typically more expensive because your license usually is generalized. It's like, okay, this is your fishing license for this amount of time. It's not at a specific marina. I think that's strange.
So Scott says he was there for about 90 minutes. And then at 2:15, he calls Laci asking her to pick up the fruit basket. I said cell phone. It was the answering machine. He called the home phone.
He used his cell phone. I think that's what you're thinking. Right. Yeah.
So he called the house phone and left a message at 2:15 asking her to pick up the fruit basket because it had to be picked up by 3 and he lost track of time.
Guys, this is 2002.
Yeah. Answering machines.
Texting wasn't
it cost money.
It cost money. It was like 10 cents a text. People still had voice, I call it voicemail? Answering machines. Which I wish we still did. And
he then calls her again at 3:52, just to check in with her. But also, he said he got gas at 3:25. I don't know. I have that backwards. But at 3:25, they did check his bank statement. He did get gasoline at this time. And then there's the voicemail left on the answering machine. He arrives back at his warehouse at 4:15, where he went inside and saw a fax had arrived at 11:38. He detached his boat and left. He arrived home between 4:30 and 4:45. When he got home, he thought she was home because her car was there and her purse and stuff was there as well.
11:38, he detached his boat. Let's say he left around 12. It is an hour and a half drive back to his house. So we're saying...
11:38. 11:38, he was when he got the fax. He arrived at the warehouse at 4:15.
Oh, okay.
So he arrived home at 4:30, which makes sense because that's also rush hour-ish time.
Yeah, and the warehouse is closer to his house.
It's a 9-minute drive to his house. So if it was a little bit less or longer than that because of rush hour, that makes sense because rush hour usually starts at 3. So she wasn't there, but her purse and her keys were. He also found the dog outside in the backyard on its with its leash on,
which is not common for them. They only had the dog outside when they weren't home, and she wasn't on the leash.
So he saw the bucket of mop water and dumped it out, and then he took off all his clothes, put them in the washing machine. Now, some people find this as a point of contention. I do not, because he works as a fertilizer salesman. He is around a lot of harsh chemicals, and when your wife is pregnant, you don't want her to handle that.
Or if she's a super clean person, like the mopping indicates.
Absolutely.
Daniel gets home from fishing, and he's disgusting.
Absolutely, but that's one thing a lot of people bring forward, but I
don't
totally
find that
buy
weird.
it.
I don't find that weird.
I totally buy it. Because, I mean, that makes sense. If you're, especially with fertilizers, there's a lot of shit in fertilizer, literally.
Yeah. And he probably, Laci probably was like, don't track that shit all over the house.
Exactly. So he just assumed her mom may have picked her up to go help with dinner. So he had a piece of pizza from last night.
Which is normal for her.
Absolutely. He got a piece of pizza from last night, got a glass of milk to drink, went upstairs to take a shower. When he's done with the shower, he came downstairs, played the messages on the answering machine, and realized Laci never checked the messages. So he hears his messages, and he also hears a message from her stepdad, who is asking them to bring over whipped cream. So this is when he starts to get worried, and he calls her mom to see if Laci's with her, and she's not. So he said, well, her car's here, and she's not there, so he doesn't know where she was. So he starts going around the neighborhood, asking if people have seen her, looking for her to see if maybe she just went over to somebody's house and lost track of time or something, you know? And the parents called friends and neighbors. They couldn't find her. So at 5:47 p.m., Laci's father called the police saying she was missing.
I have a problem with that.
You do?
Yeah.
Why?
Why didn't he call?
Because he was out looking for her.
So he has a cell phone.
He does have a cell phone, but at the same time, if you're still looking for somebody, thinking, okay, maybe there's still hope, whereas the parents are panicking, it's like, no, we just need to call the police. We just need to call the police. No. She's missing. She's 8 months pregnant.
That's your husband. I disagree.
I don't know. Anyway,
I expect my husband to call the police and then call my
Have you had this talk? Does he know?
Yeah, he knows.
Okay.
I asked his opinion about it.
Maybe they didn't have that conversation. And Scott was, and you know, Scott could have been just trying to stay positive. Like, you know what? She's fine. She's just probably at somebody's house. She's at somebody's house.
But you assumed that she was with her mom. You called her mom. She wasn't there. And then you couldn't find her. Mm-hmm. Why would you go out looking for her? Even if you thought she was hurt, fell, in labor, whatever. The first phone call should be to 911.
Maybe. I don't know.
Mario.
Some people don't immediately go to the worst. That's us. We're worrywarts.
No. No.
I don't know if I would have immediately called 911.
But she's not in any of the places she would normally be.
He doesn't know that. Her
car is home.
He doesn't know that. She could be at a friend's house.
But her car is home. Her purse is home. Mm-hmm. Her keys are home. Like, if the person keys weren't there.
But why were her... That's one question, though. If her keys were at home, why was she out walking in the neighborhood with her dog with the house unlocked and no keys, you know?
But that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, that means she could have left that there and gone to her friend's house.
So let's say you got home, the dog wasn't there, but her purse and keys were there and the house is unlocked. Okay, I would think she's out walking. Mm-hmm. The dog was home. Her purse and keys are home. She's not with her mom. Mm-hmm. She's not with anybody that I called. That is at the very least mildly concerning.
I wouldn't have called the police.
I would have called the police.
I would not have, because I wouldn't have been concerned yet. It's like, you know what? She could be at the neighbor's house. It would make sense. She just let the dog outside really quick. And she ran next door and left her stuff home, and she was just checking on something, and she was going to be right back. But she's not right back.
But her parents called family and friends while he went looking for her.
Right.
She was not with family and friends.
But he didn't know that because he was out, and they didn't call him to let him know.
I don't know. I find it weird.
I don't. So that's the story of what happened that day. And then, of course, the police get involved. Now, going forward, I think Jessica wants to
It's never the dad that calls. It's always the husband, the significant other. It's never the mom unless there's not a significant other in the picture.
That's not true. I was just listening to the Brittany Murphy story that Stephanie Harlowe did, and it's an amazing job. You're doing amazing, sweetie. The mom called, not the husband.
I hear you. I don't agree. I don't know. I just don't agree.
So going forward, I have a lot of facts about Amber Frey. We might sprinkle them in. But I think you wanted to start going into stuff and bring up Amber later, correct?
Let's talk about Amber when we get to it in regards to the timeline.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because they did start talking on the 20th of November. Mm-hmm. So.
Am I going now?
Did we want to? Because I don't know.
I'm going to do the timeline of Laci's disappearance, and then we're going to bring Amber in and talk about Amber. Okay. So, hi. I'm here.
Girl, we know. We've heard you this whole time.
So on December 24th of 2002, Laci Peterson is reported missing from her Modesto home. Of course, Scott said he came home from Berkeley. He couldn't find his wife anywhere. Of course, police will work from family and friends out. Like, the people around you are the people who are most likely to harm you. So they start there. So, of course, they searched the Berkeley Marina. That's where he was at on December 28th. December 31st, the Modesto police shift from missing person to foul play in the case. So they had enough evidence to believe that Laci was not coming home and something bad happened to her. She was pregnant. Like, why would she be away from home from this long? I feel like the only natural conclusion is something bad happened. We don't know, but something bad happened. On January 3rd, Modesto police asked Scott to verify where he was on Christmas Eve. At the same time, police spent hours combing the Berkeley waters near the marina. Eventually, on January 24th, the police do expand their search to Southern California. On January 17th, Laci's family and friends hold a news conference and demand that Scott Peterson tell everything he knows about the case. On January 18th, more and more suspicion of Scott had grown. Authorities investigate his whereabouts in connection with the disappearance of it's Luis, Obispo woman in 1996, where Scott and Laci did live. Later, authorities determined that he had nothing to do with the second missing woman, so Scott Peterson was cleared of that. Scott did a lot of work in doing a volunteer run center for missing news about Laci. His family did distribute flyers in hotels. They had volunteers. They had a tip line center set up. I have lots of information about that too. Oh. Yeah. So, on January 23rd, Laci Peterson's family says Scott told authorities he had been involved with another woman. That's not actually what happened, but that's what Scott thinks happened. So, Amber Frey, who's a massage therapist from Fresno, California, comes forward and confirms that she had a romantic relationship with Scott Peterson. Here's the weird thing about that. She was introduced to Scott by a mutual friend. Scott described himself as a horn dog to that mutual friend, and he introduced himself to Amber.
She introduced him to Amber.
Yes, the friend did. She introduced him to Amber.
Like his pickup line at the hotel that he met her at, the friend, was, "What's your favorite sex position?" Yeah. That's how they met.
So she introduced her to Amber, which that's not really a great friend. I'm just saying.
No, absolutely. Unless
Amber was looking for a real relationship.
But if my friend needs a good fuck, and maybe she
But maybe Amber's not looking for that.
Maybe
anyway, not. Amber saw a news article about a guy and his missing wife, and she thought, wow, that looks a lot like Scott. Again, this is not the era of the internet articles or what people had. She chose to call the police and tell them everything that they knew. So Scott did not come forward.
That's actually not what happened.
That is what happened.
I have details.
This is Amber's account of what happened.
I know. I have details. So she said she was suspicious of him. So she reached out to her friend at the police department who looked into Scott Peterson and called her at 1 a.m. He's like, no, you need to call the police now because this man is Scott Peterson.
She was suspicious of him because of that article, and she didn't want to believe it. She talks about it in the Hulu documentary I watched.
Okay.
So she does mention that, but her suspicion started from the news article.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of that's true. But she did come forward to the police and say, this is, what do you know? She talked to a tip line person. The detective took over the phone call, immediately met with her. They ran to Radio Shack, which for those of you who don't know what Radio Shack is, it was kind of like...
You're too young for this podcast.
Original Best Buy, sort of.
You're too young for this podcast.
You're way too young for this podcast. Click out. Go listen to something else. No, stay. We love you. So they immediately hooked up a simple recording device to her phone, and Scott Peterson called at the exact moment they had it hooked up.
Serendipity. So I was going to pick up really quickly with a timeline of their relationship, Scott and Amber's relationship. So, as we said, Scott was hitting on a woman at the bar, asked her favorite sex position. She turned him down, but introduced him to her best friend, who was Amber.
Amber, she is not your best friend?
Amber is a massage therapist and a single mother. They went on a blind date on November the 20th. And on this blind date, they first went to his hotel room because he said, oh, well, I've been working all day. I really need to change. But there he had champagne and roses waiting for her. Afterwards, they went to karaoke and dinner. And they spent the night dancing and then went to his hotel room, and she stayed the night with him. Now, he told her he was single and was looking for the right person. He did say he did not want kids of his own, but he was fine with her having children. And he told her that he lived in Sacramento while she lived in Fresno.
Listen, if a guy says that he doesn't want kids, but he's fine of having kids of your own, a.k.a. he is not serious about the relationship, or he will never treat your kids well.
Maybe.
Period.
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 JT's free, by the way. She has a song.
Go.
City Girls. Sorry.
Goodness gracious.
It's okay. She has a line. It's like, get a sugar daddy, suck an old dick. I don't know. It just makes me laugh every time.
I agree with that. You know how I feel about sugar daddies.
Anyway.
I'm into it.
So he visited her again on December the 2nd, and he took her and her daughter hiking, and then he took them home and cooked them dinner. On the 9th is when he told her that he lost his wife.
Which I find is really eerie, but it could be just a line of someone who's trying to convince someone that they're single.
Absolutely.
My dad used to carry around his divorce papers from his first wife to convince women that he was no longer married to my mom.
Wow.
Yeah, so when they're horn dogs, men will do a lot.
Yeah, true. Because some people don't want to be a mistress or a mister. Mm-hmm. So that's the same date he actually bought his boat. And then on the 14th, he returns with 3 dozen roses and champagne. And they went to a Christmas party together. This is where that photo came out. Mm-hmm. Because the reason Amber was brought to light to the public was because the National Enquirer got their hands on one of these photos. Mm-hmm. Because she actually sent out Christmas cards with them on it, which I think is a little much. But I mean, hey, if you're feeling your relationship, really excited about it.
She thought she was going to marry him, though.
After a month?
Laci thought the same thing.
True. Maybe he's super charismatic. Maybe.
Which is a sign of a...
narcissist?
And a complete sociopath.
I suppose so. You're right. And so the photo here is what actually got the National Enquirer to say, hey, to the police, we're going to release this. You may want to do something. What?
I keep going. You'll get there.
Oh, okay. Is it something I wrote? Mm-hmm. Is it a typo?
Mm-hmm. It's the best typo I've ever seen, though.
Okay.
Keep going. You'll get there.
He told her he was going to Maine and then Europe for work over the holidays. He stated this was his first Christmas without his wife.
We found it, guys. Can I read it?
Please.
Okay. On December 23rd, he said he was in Maine fuck hunting with his father. That's the episode title.
Twice.
I'm going to fix it.
Fuck hunting?
Fuck hunting.
Fuck hunting in Maine.
That's how much we write fuck. Like autocorrects.
I never type the word duck.
That's the name of this episode. Fuck hunting with your dad. Okay, keep going.
I'm sorry. So on December 26th, he told her he was flying to Paris that morning, but missed his flight and was in New York. She thought that was suspicious. And this is what, from my account and my research, this is what made her suspicious of him, which got her to reach out to the police. And then at this point, she agrees to become a police informant for them.
Right move, girl.
Fuck hunting. Oh my God.
He was fuck hunting.
He really was. Oh my God. That's like...
He's a total fuck boy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So if you wanted to pick up where we left off, that just gave us some context regarding Amber and his relationship.
So this is when Amber, of course, she's been behind the scenes the whole time. I would like to point out that up until the point that she made contact with police, he was very, very wary about being on camera.
Yes.
He didn't want to be on camera. He didn't want his name out there. At the volunteer center that people ran for him, they would put up pictures of him and Laci every single day, and he would take them down and say, no, the pictures should just be of Laci. And it's like, why are you focused on that? That's my opinion about it. But I did ask Daniel. I will say what Daniel said at this point. I asked Daniel, I said, let's say you were having an affair. I disappeared and I was pregnant. Would you go on camera to kind of like advocate, be like, I need help finding my wife? And he said no.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
He's like, I'm not a camera person. I don't want to be on camera. And I said, okay, I got you. I don't like it either. I said, but what if the whole family wanted you to do it? Like my mom, my dad decided that this was our best option to get news out about me. Would you do it? He was like, maybe once, but that's it. I said, so what happens if the police find you to be suspicious? My husband is very much a compartmentalizer. He's very much an introvert. He has a lot of the characteristics that I would say the positive ones I noticed about Scott.
He's very calm. I scared him and I couldn't tell.
Yeah, Daniel was alerted. So I asked him, what if you were having an affair and you were being suspected? What would you do? He, without batting an eye, said, I would just come clean. I would just put everything out there. If they thought I did it, then I would just throw it all out there. Yeah. Scott did not do that. I want to point that out. He continued to reach out to Amber the day after Laci was literally said missing. He called the day that he called and pretended like it was New Year's Eve. He pretended like he was calling from Paris at the Eiffel Tower. There is phone evidence of this. I will be putting it in the podcast right here.
Hello? Amber. Hi. Amber. Amber.
I can hear you.
Amber, if you can hear me, it's New Year's.
I know. I can hear you.
Amber, it's New Year's here. Are you there?
Yes. Are you having a good time?
Amber. Hey, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
I wanted to call you.
Thank you.
Amber, are you there?
I'm here.
Amber.
I wish you could hear me.
I'm on the, I think that you're there. I'm near the Eiffel Tower. New Year's celebration is unreal. The crowd is huge.
The crowd's huge?
Amber.
Yes, I'm here.
Amber, if you're there, I can't hear you right now, but I'll call you on your New Year's.
Okay, I'll hear from you then.
Amber. Amber, miss you. See you soon.
Okay. I hope...
So he continued to make contact with her and act like nothing was wrong. He didn't even say, you know what?
He was at a candlelight vigil for his wife.
He was at the candlelight vigil and he pretended to be in Paris. I don't care who you are. That is like sadistic as fuck.
No, like I will say, I don't think he's a good person.
Like that.
I think he's a sleazeball.
I think he
don't think he
compartmentalizes really well, which is what makes me scared of him. So I would like to say he tried to continue with, even when Amber eventually does come out, do a press conference. She hires Gloria Allred as her lawyer because she's so worried about the attention she's going to get. She's not an attention whore. She has a very young daughter. She wants to protect herself.
Honestly, I have so much respect for Amber.
I have a lot of respect for Amber too.
Like, you can also, I don't know if we have the audio for it, but there, like, the audio of him coming clean, of him coming clean to her.
Yeah.
She goes in.
The girl I got married to, her name is Laci. She disappeared just before Christmas.
I deserve an explanation of why you told me you had lost your wife and this was the first holidays you'd spend without her. This has to be the biggest coincidence I have ever heard of. I mean, are you psychic? You predicted your wife would be missing? How did you lose her then, before she was lost?
There are different kinds of loss, Amber.
Then explain your loss.
She did when she found out he was a sleazeball, she did everything she could.
Absolutely.
And she even did a beautiful press conference. Basically, like, she almost cried talking about how she was so scared.
Yeah, absolutely.
She came clean about everything.
Is cool with her.
They love her. She even went and had she even met with Laci's mom after the fact. She's such a good person.
And I said, thank you so much for doing this. Because honestly,
they just wanted to find Laci.
Yes.
They wanted to get to the bottom of what happened. And Amber did the right thing. And Scott was, even after that press conference, Scott was still trying to get with her.
Yes. No, he even
called
came.
her.
I'm so proud of you. I'm like, oh.
So on January 28th, in a televised interview, which is the first one that he did, because now everybody was honing in on Scott. They were like, you did it, you did it, you did it. He admits that he had a relationship with Amber Frey, and he admitted that he told his wife about it. Laci's family doesn't think that's true. Mari and I have already discussed that. We think that is a strong possibility that happened.
Especially this is
you don't know everything.
Affair.
Yeah, you don't know everything that goes on in a marriage, and honestly, I'm pretty sure Laci knew.
Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, you're pregnant. You can't do anything, much less have sex. He said that it wasn't anything that would break us apart. That's a direct quote from what happened. I find that suspicious because he was going in on the Amber Frey, like, swooning and just, like, courting her. That's the word I'm using. But you said you told Laci and it wasn't anything that could break you apart. No, that's what you told Laci because you were all in this other relationship too. Yeah. He was all in. He was all into me.
I mean, he fucking cooked dinner for them.
And I've been a side chick before, so I know what that shit looks like. At this point, Laci, this is February 5th, Laci Peterson's family steps up their criticism of Scott, and they're saying, at this point, and so I read this in the book. I don't have a lot about it here, but I did read the book about Scott Peterson, like, many, many months ago. He eventually started selling all of their stuff.
Yes.
Like, he sold Connor's stuff. He was trying to sell the house. He sold Laci's car. Like, the family had a really big issue with this because her family didn't want to part with any of those things.
Absolutely.
Now, here's the thing. Scott, as her husband, has the right to make those decisions.
Absolutely.
But it's a pretty dick move for you not to consider the feelings of the mother and the stepfather and the father. It's a fuck move.
No, I agree. But one thing I don't have an issue with is him selling her car. And the reason I say that is because his vehicles were repossessed by the police. He had no other vehicle and he needed a vehicle.
So why not just drive her car?
To deliver fertilizer with. And you can't deliver fertilizer with a sedan. You need a pickup truck. So that made total sense to me. He did what he had to do. He kept driving rental cars because his cars were still police.
Mario, point for Mario. I have a problem with the selling of Scott's Connor's things.
Absolutely.
We're talking about February 5th. This is not even 2 months after it happened.
Yep.
That's a pretty quick time for someone to just, like, get rid of stuff. Maybe close off the room. Maybe you can't go in there. Maybe you can't deal. But selling it seems weird to me. And his family has money.
Yes.
So that's weird to me. Why didn't you go to your family for help? It's just weird to me. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. You don't have to sell those things. Your family could give you money.
Totally.
February 10th, that was Laci's due date. On the 18th, authorities issue a search warrant for the Petersons' home in Modesto. That's when they remove possible evidence and take other measurements.
Didn't they find nothing, though?
They found nothing. On March 6th, Modesto police officially declared the case a homicide. Makes sense. At this point, she'd been missing for so long. March 12th, they searched the bay again. Now, here's the thing that I found in documentaries. articles and in the book, Scott would actually go out there.
He did twice.
When police were out there searching, and he would just kind of like lurk around.
Like, it's a 90-minute drive.
That's so weird to me.
He would drive up there, and on 2 instances, he stayed for 5 minutes, and then for 2 minutes the second time, and then he just left.
Murderers do revisit.
Absolutely. They revisit the crime scene.
So that's weird to me.
So, I mean, that's suspicious on his part. No denying.
Sure. April 18th, police in San Diego arrest Scott Peterson, who's found carrying a large amount of cash and his brother's passport. Now, the passport thing is weird because I've seen ID. I've seen passport and ID. I don't know what's actually true. Either way, he had one of those two items on him. Bill Locklear says that the bodies of Laci and Connor were found in Richmond. I'd like to talk about the stuff found in the car, though, because it wasn't just the passport. It was $15,000 in cash. It was also hiking boots, camping gear, and he was in a small red sports car.
Yep. One of his rentals.
The thought was at this time, police believed he was trying to, escape. He was trying to
go to Mexico, because they live 45 minutes away from the border.
He was trying to go to Mexico. There are people that argue that these are normal things for Scott to have in his car. There is an argument for the $15,000 in cash. That was
accidentally withdrawn by his mother.
It wasn't accidentally withdrawn. She borrowed money from him, and that was she had to pay him back.
Oh, see.
That's his mother's account of what happened. That word came from her mouth. I don't know other people's accounts. This came from his mom.
Because the account I heard said she was on an account with Laci and Scott and
I have never heard that.
And she accidentally withdrew it from that account. And so she was giving it back to him to use as capital to buy a new car, I think.
Scott even said that his mom borrowed money from him and she was paying him back. That's also Scott. I will give him the hiking boots. I will give him the passport and the ID because he was using that to get a discount at the golf club. I will give him that. I will give him everything in the car. I will not give him the $15,000 cash. Now, people argue that this is a holiday weekend. This happened on Good Friday.
Oh.
And so banks were closed. However, there is no scenario in this world in which I would have $15,000 in my car. If my mom gave me $15,000, that would go straight home. It would not be in my car. That seems weird to me.
Do you think the burglaries in the area would deter you from leaving your money in your car, especially when you're avoiding your house because the press is always there, so you're just trying to stay in other places?
No. Okay. $15,000?
I'd feel safer with it on me than in a place that I'm not very comfortable.
I would feel like I'm more vulnerable to crime.
Potentially so. Because statistically, I mean...
I don't know anybody. I have been in a car with one person that had stacks and stacks of money in his car. He was a drug dealer. He pulled out stacks before we went in a strip club. Oh. For me, this is a big red flag to me that I think it is possible he was trying to escape. I also would like to note that he was driving erratically and the police were following him. I don't think that there's no way he didn't know it was the police. The police had been tailing him. This is not the first time that they were keeping an eye on him. I think he knows the difference between paparazzi and police. There is a difference in how they follow
They were in
you.
an unmarked car.
Yes, but paparazzi trying to get that shot. No. Think about the paparazzi trying to get that shot, how aggressive they are.
Yeah.
Paparazzi are aggressive. News media outlets are aggressive. They want the shot. Oh, there's Scott with his new hair looking weird in the car. Let's get that shot. Unmarked police cars are going to kind of hang back, watch you, see what you're doing. I believe Scott knew who was following him. I think he tried to say to his brother that it was this one person. He was driving erratically. The police took that as he was trying to evade them.
Yeah, evasive maneuvers. That's what they described it as.
Yes, I think he was snapping. I think Scott snapped. And I think with the hair dye, the $15,000 in the car, I don't know what's going on there, but all of that shit looks suspicious to me.
I don't agree. And the reason I don't agree...
You know the difference. If you've been dealing with police and paparazzi for this long, Mario, you know the difference.
But do you?
Yes, you do.
Because what if...
An unmarked police car, my dad is a cop, by the way, an unmarked police car is still a standard issue unmarked police car. It looks very different from the kind of cars that paparazzi do. And then furthermore, let's say they were in the same car. Let's say that Modesto is one of those places where police let you drive your personal car. There is a difference in the way that paparazzi are trailing you and the difference between the way police are trailing you. This was not a police chase. This was just like, hey, Scott's doing something weird. Let's just keep an eye on him. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between that and paparazzi trying to get a picture of you.
I don't agree.
How do you not agree?
Can I explain?
Yes,
Every time I try to talk.
You'll be wrong, but go ahead. There's a difference.
But no, if they hired, because oftentimes tabloids will hire private investigators, and private investigators do things differently. And so he could be in cahoots with the paparazzi.
But he said media.
He said the media, exactly. If they're working for the media, they're still following you. This man has been persecuted for this entire time.
I know.
Like, he is an undesirable number fucking one. Everybody's coming for him. Everybody's saying he's a terrible person because he is a terrible fucking person.
But a private
he's a murderer. He's doing all this shit.
Is still going to act like a police does. They're not going to act like paparazzi.
There's no knowing how they're going to act.
Absolutely.
You cannot
see the
say that with
paparazzi
facts.
on a daily basis.
Absolutely, but you cannot say 100% they're going to act exactly like this. I believe him when he thought it was the paparazzi because
no, I don't.
He has been hounded by these people constantly. So yeah, if one isn't as aggressive as a typical paparazzi, that doesn't mean it's not a paparazzi.
You're talking about the height of the case, though.
Yeah.
Paparazzi are total scumbags. They are aggressive. They are...
If you're paparazzi, hi, love you. Thanks for listening.
Oh, God. No, I fucking hate you. Stop listening. Like, there's a difference between the way that police trail you and paparazzi trail you. That's all I'm saying. That's my blanket statement. And I know... And I can say that with a fact. I know that.
But, I mean, him changing his hair, him dressing nondescript...
The hair thing is not an issue for me.
No, well... But I'm just saying, these are all signs of somebody who is paranoid that he's constantly being followed by the paparazzi because his life has been turned upside down by the fucking paparazzi.
I think he said paparazzi, but I think the police were also part of that. I think he was very careful about his words.
I think he thought it was the paparazzi. He was very paranoid about anything he does being picked up by the paparazzi. His fucking affair got blown up because of the fucking paparazzi or the National Enquirer.
That's okay. We can agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
I think he knew better. Here's a couple of like weird facts that I didn't really like so much. And I have a lot of stuff about the court case, which I don't think is necessarily important here. So,
I think it is.
Well, it is.
In regards to him not.
Yeah. But like the way I have it laid out is not necessarily great. Like I said, Laci and her unborn son were found. In this timeline, the most ridiculous thing I found that the autopsy was sealed and then leaked.
Yes.
Which I recommended Culpable as a podcast, and this is a big point of contention in that podcast as well because her son's autopsy and stuff was released and she felt completely exposed because of that, his mom.
Understandable.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And details about Laci's body.
Yeah, and Connor with the wire around his neck and the
tape
weird
on his
tape
ear.
down his ear.
And also, like, Laci's forearms, leg from the knee down on one side and head were missing.
Yeah.
And there was wildlife. There was wildlife living in her belly.
Yeah.
Where the baby was.
Yeah. So that stuff, that's not stuff like, I'm sure you guys have been laughing and really engaged in our debate, but when Mario said that, you can't tell me you didn't feel a shift in
No, it's fucked.
None of that stuff should, like, we all have a fascination with this stuff. And I get it, but those kind of things are private and for the family to know if they choose to know, but we don't have a right to know any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't want to know how Connor was found unless it can definitively tell me that Scott did it.
Yeah.
That's the only time I need to know. And
but also
nothing about their bodies.
That just makes you wonder, like, how did all of this happen, you know?
So the book goes more in depth with the defense attorneys and the prosecutor's perception. One thing that we didn't note was that Scott had made homemade anchors.
Yes.
And so that they found molds for 4 of them, or 6 of them, but only one was at his warehouse.
And he used Quickcrete.
Yes. A lot of people say that that's the perfect amount for her head, arms, and legs.
And Nancy Grace was one of the people who was harping on this shit. Nancy Grace. And he's like, well, no, I just put it in the driveway. And he fucking put it in the driveway.
He did. And here's the thing. Nancy Grace honed in on this shit. I hate Nancy Grace. I think she's one of the most irresponsible people.
Absolutely. She literally has caused people to kill themselves because she went in so
fucking
hard.
Terrible. Without knowing anything about the case other than what was reported on the media, which I think had a lot to do with how the media looked at Scott. And she had a big factor in this whole Inquirer thing and like people blowing up Scott. I fault Nancy Grace with that. Come at me, bitch. We'll have long conversations. But this is not the first court case she's fucked up. There's another one that I've been into lately, and I'll talk about that.
Is the one about the mom who rolled over on her baby?
No.
Okay.
This is about another murder. So the thing is like in court, you know, Scott said, I just dumped out that extra concrete in the yard. And Nancy Grace is like, no, he didn't. That's a lie. And her stupid, ridiculous accent. And so she got invited to go out, walk around the home. And there was the pile of dried concrete, enough to be extra from the bag that he mixed. And instead of her apologizing and going on record, she ignored it.
She's like, oh, well, would you look at that?
Oh, okay, great. And I was like
are you fucking kidding me?
And here's the problem I have with people like Nancy Grace. She added to the problem and she thought she was helping. Like, check yourself.
The media, honestly, at this time was
insane.
They would report things that were outright unfactual. They turned out to not be true.
They tried to say something about the satanic panic involved in Laci's disappearance, and that's just like insane. The case that I'm listening to now, it happened in Georgia. It's Tara Grinstead, and it's on the podcast Up and Vanished. And there were several suspects in her love life that people at first suspected, but Nancy Grace went in on them and they basically turned into recluses. And then when they finally found people 12 years later in connection to the death of this poor woman, it was not any of her lovers. It was people that nobody knew about. And she caused their lives so much shit. And then the guy who did the podcast, which is Payne Lindsay, I think I'm obsessed with him. This is like the third podcast he's done that I've listened to. He interviews Nancy Grace as a courtesy because he brings her up. And she turns that episode is supposed to be just like her take on the case. She turns into a one-way ticket about her podcast and why she's in the law field. And I thought, you are such a fucking scumbag.
Absolutely.
So Nancy Grace had a big hand in the media and the way that this was reported, purported. I mean, just everything. And she should have just kept her big, blonde, dumb mouth shut. And she's in some of the documentaries I watched, and I was like, you're still saying that, you're still acting the same fucking way, like you've learned nothing.
Yeah.
If you've been wrong that many times, just reevaluate how you do it. I'm not saying stop. I'm saying
just
try
think before
harder.
you speak. Think before you speak.
So I attribute a lot of this sensationalism to her. Like, yes, we are like murderinos. We're all out there, and that is from My Favorite Murder. But she had a big hand in how Scott was portrayed. I think the police honed in on him way too early.
Yeah. No, I don't.
They did not investigate other things that even now, knowing as much as I know about the case, I wish that they had investigated further.
But it's normal. Absolutely normal to immediately go to the spouse or significant other.
I'm not saying that it's not, but they put more attention on him and then no attention on anything else. It should be more attention on him.
Should we bring that up?
Yeah, right now. Let's talk about it.
So, the week that this happened, the neighbors across the street were burglarized.
Laci saw them.
Did she?
Yeah, Laci saw them. She saw them and found them suspicious.
Did she? Because I know a different neighbor saw this.
No. Laci saw them. Laci saw them when she was letting Mackenzie out in the yard one day, according to like the book and the documentary I watched.
How do they know this? Did she say something?
Laci said something.
To who? Them?
To a neighbor.
Oh.
So she saw them.
Because they took the fucking safe out of the house and put it in the front yard.
Right. And so some people say that there's a possibility they went after her.
Absolutely, because when they got arrested, the first thing out of their mouth was, we have nothing to do with that disappeared pregnant
Listen,
lady.
if I'm a criminal and obviously if I'm stealing safes and I know when these people are out of town, I know what I'm doing, right? This is a thought out process. This is not a kick in the door kind of thing. Okay. So if you're a well-known criminal and you're afraid you're going to be linked to other things, I think it's very possible someone could just say, I had nothing to do with that woman's disappearance.
I think that's super suspicious.
It's suspicious, but I think it's plausible, okay?
Maybe.
But here's the other thing, is that the police said that the burglary happened on the 26th.
Which is when the house was flooded with paparazzi and news media.
People and news media, there's no way this happened on the 26th. It had to have been the 23rd. Yes. But the police reported it differently. Also, the other thing that I feel like Crime Junkie did a really good job of explaining is that there were 7-8-month pregnant women that went disappearing in this area between 1999 and 2003. So it is very possible. I did some research on that. There's not much out there about it. The other thing that Crime Junkie brings up, and the book brought this up too, because I went back and like kind of skimmed through the chapters. This was a crime-filled area. Modesto was not a happy, safe place to raise your kids. She wanted to be closer to her family. That's why they chose to move there. I totally understand that. But it was a crime-filled area. And disappearances happened all the time. Murders happened all the time. I think there was like a crystal meth problem in the area too.
Yes, there was.
So there are plenty of possibilities that could have happened at this time, but the police did not do a great job in investigating. What they should have done is taken every lead and ruled everything out. They took one lead.
They were so hell-bent on it being Scott. It had to have been Scott. And that they let things slip between the cracks.
As a consumer of this knowledge, I look at videos of Scott and I go, oh, he's fucking suspicious as fuck. I don't like his interviews. The Diane Sawyer interview is the most manipulative bullshit I've ever seen in my fucking life. I have clips that I'll insert for you guys. And I'll also have all the links of all of these things up on our website, and then I'll make sure to link them in our Instagram and all that. This is what I'm saying. There is not enough evidence to have convicted Scott. The police did not do a good job. The media sensationalized this. He was their favorite murderer.
Yes.
However, there are things about Scott's interview that freak me out. I don't like them. He gives me a bad feeling. I don't like the way
he's not a good person.
He's not a good person, but also when Diane Sawyer said, did you kill your wife?
He smiled.
The way that he responded bothered me.
Yeah.
And as a person, not as a police officer, I think, oh, you look sketchy as fuck. However, as a police officer, you're supposed to rule out everything. And then there's also no hardcore evidence saying that he did it.
Yeah, there's nothing proving anything.
His timeline checks out. Her family up until Amber Frey came forward supported him wholeheartedly. His mom saying, why did he have to kill her when they found out about Amber Frey? I think that just furthered the frenzy with the police because someone else agreed with them. There is no evidence at all other than a weak motive that Scott did this.
Yeah.
Period.
Like he got charged with murder for having an affair because
basically, yeah, that's totally irresponsible.
I want to touch a little bit on the trial.
Yeah.
With the trial, when picking the jury, you're the one who brought this to my attention. When picking the jury,
yes, thank you. That's so fucked up.
They did not, rather, they had the death penalty here, and so instead of
in California,
correct. Instead of picking actual jury people, all they would ask, "Are you willing to give the death penalty? Are you willing to give the death penalty? And do you know about this case?"
Yeah.
And
if you happen to say, I don't agree with the death penalty, you were no longer a viable juror option for this case. Which is not, if you don't know, that's not what's supposed to happen.
No.
If you don't know anything about the case or you don't really care about the case, you make an ideal candidate regardless of what your position is on the death penalty.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're supposed to consider. Do you have contact with this family? Do you know this family? Have you interacted with this family? Do you know Scott? Do you know Laci? Do you know what are their names? The Rochas. Do you know the Petersons? Those are relevant facts because it makes you biased. Absolutely. However, your opinion about the death penalty, because even if it is a death penalty case, at the end of the trial, the judge can say life in prison with no parole. Yes. They don't have to assign the death penalty. What's it called? The sentencing is completely at the discretion of the judge, which makes me think the judge was already like, fuck it, we're doing death penalty.
Yes.
Which if the judge is saying, fuck it, let's do death penalty.
That's not a fair trial.
You believe he's guilty.
Also,
that's
the trial,
not fair.
Absolutely.
I think he did it, and that's not fair.
And the trial was moved, 50 miles away, but it was nearer to the media hub of California.
And 50 miles away is not enough distance.
Absolutely.
Even if it's in another county, that's not enough distance.
But then on top of that, the jurors were not sequestered.
Right.
So they were allowed to sit through the court case, go home, go on the internet, read all of this shit. That's the media's falsely reporting.
Which you're not supposed to do, especially if Nancy Grace had a hand in it.
Absolutely.
Fuck you, Nancy Grace.
So he did not have a fair trial. So regardless of if he did it or not, he is a shitty person. But the accounts of the trial is the prosecution had Nothing.
Nothing.
It was going nowhere. It was very clear he was going to get off.
Oh my God.
And then
they were allowed to show pictures of Laci and
Connor's body.
You don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
You have someone to come in and read the autopsy. You only pull that low blow when you have nothing else to go on. That's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Laci's mom had to use a folder to cover her eyes, and her dad had to look down and look away.
Yeah, you don't want to see your loved one like that.
Nobody wants to see. And at this point, it had already been leaked. So it didn't really fucking matter. Yeah, at that point, it had been leaked. It leaked before the trial.
Jesus. See, I've never seen
So it really didn't fucking matter. You didn't sequester your jury. They can go online, look at whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
This whole thing was mishandled from top to bottom. They honed in on Scott way too soon. They didn't rule out anything else that could be, including the 8 months pregnant woman walking her dog, which a lot of people say that the judge did follow up on, but I did some deep diving on this. There's a whole
You want to extrapolate? Because you didn't talk about that yet.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so during the time that Scott was on the boat and Laci was walking her dog, they're theorizing that at this point Scott killed her, loaded her into a car, took her out on the boat, dropped her in the river, or the river. There are 17 the bay. There are 17 witnesses that said, "Oh, we saw someone who looked just like Laci and was either heavyset or pregnant walking a golden retriever," which all of that matched Laci's description. Police claimed that they investigated this. However, I did deep diving on that this weekend. There was a woman who looked like Laci that lived in their neighborhood and had a golden retriever, and she had been pregnant. However, she had her child in October.
Right.
So there's a very good chance, at the slimmest chance, she maybe still had some weight, and that could have been her. The point is, the police did not investigate this. They said that it couldn't have been Laci, but they didn't really go a deep dive into it. That also works in Scott's favor.
Yeah.
After learning about this, I'm so surprised that he was convicted.
Absolutely.
I think he did it. I think he had something to do with it. I think it's very possible he hired someone to get rid of Laci. He doesn't seem like the kind of man that would murder him, himself, but maybe you don't want to be married anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to have to pay child support. Maybe you find someone, you traveled a lot, it's possible.
You fell out of love.
You fell out of love. Whatever your excuses are, you're having an affair. Maybe he really did love Amber. He contacted her over 100 times after his wife disappeared. That also looks fucking crazy. My point is even though I believe he had something to do with it, I don't think it's possible he did it. Unless she was murdered, like, the night before, and then he just, like, got on the computer, pretended to be Laci, watched Martha Stewart, so that he just doesn't seem like he would think through something like that.
Absolutely, no, because, like, they even checked their home computer, and there were things that Laci was looking for at the gap.
That could have been him.
It could have been him. But
they don't know, because they didn't fucking check into it.
I don't think it could have been him, because they have proof of him being at his storehouse when that was done. They have
at the warehouse?
At the warehouse.
Okay.
When that was done. So it had to have been somebody else.
It was, and sure, I'll say that was Laci. The problem is even though I think Scott did it, this would have been an O.J. Simpson thing for me. I can't believe he didn't get convicted, but there was not enough evidence.
Yes.
And that's how our legal system is supposed to work, no matter how much you dislike it. But there's no evidence. The only thing they had was motive and those horrific photos of Laci and Scott.
Motive
Connor.
and the audio recordings of the affair, because that's the thing that really turned the tide and turned the jury against him.
Which I'm surprised that was allowed to be in court. I thought it should have been inadmissible.
The reason the judge allowed it to be entered into court is because it shows that Scott is capable of lying and living a double life.
But
so
that
he's
doesn't.
capable of doing this.
There was a podcast I listened to where they said, yeah, he's capable of lying, but that doesn't mean he's capable of murder. It's some line like that. Mm-hmm. And that, like, shook me to my core, because you assume that all liars are just bad people. That's not necessarily the case. Listen, I think Scott had something to do with it. I don't know what he had to do with it. I think that's why he's so cagey in his interviews. I think that's why the police honed in on him. A lot of the times it is your loved one. They had a troubled marriage. All of the theories add up, but none of the evidence does.
I don't think he did it. I think he's a shitty person, a scumbag who's cheating on his pregnant wife. I don't think he did it. I just think he's, unfortunately, was the victim.
I went through my whole guilty, not guilty list.
Huh?
I went through my whole guilty, not guilty list.
Work. Wow, you went through that fast.
Yeah, I sure did.
But I just think it was a wrong place, wrong time sort of thing, unfortunately. Like, I don't think he's a good person. Like I said, I think what he did was really shitty in terms of cheating on his pregnant wife.
I think at best, he's a great compartmentalizer.
Potentially so,
I think at best he's a wonderful compartmentalizer. My wife's missing. I need to keep up this affair because I keep wanting to get laid. Yeah. Oh, she came forward and now she knows everything. Well, now I can convince her to be with me. And I tried to find this audio clip, and it may have been in the book because I listened to it on audio. There is a clip where he's trying to meet up with Amber to explain everything about Laci, and she refuses. And I thought, yes, girl, good job. Because if he was the killer, there's a good chance he would have murdered her then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And honestly, like, just the fact that she was able to keep calm and act like nothing was up.
I have so much respect for Amber Frey.
Holy shit. Because I'm not talking to you ever again. Fuck this.
Yeah.
No, leave me alone.
I hope that I'm that graceful of a woman. Like, I like to think that I am, but you never know.
I wish her nothing but happiness and success.
And she's doing amazing, sweetie. She's fine. Yeah, she's been on some of these, like, later, like the revisiting the 10-year mark or whatever. She was on that. She looked great.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. Because honestly, like, she had no way of knowing, especially back then. She had no way of knowing this man was married. She was probably lonely. She just wanted somebody to love.
And he probably laid on the charm really thick champagne and roses on a first date.
Absolutely. Bitch, I'd be wet.
Absolutely.
So, like, it's a shame she got brought into it. But at the same time, I don't know.
So for me, the reason I think he had something to do with it, I just don't know what it is, and I don't want to speculate. His body language is terrible. I think it's weird that he didn't want any pictures out of him and her. Even if you were having an affair at that point, I would have just come clean. I mean, he offered up his receipts.
I don't know.
He offered them to the police. He was like, look, here's when I went to the Marine and everything. And the first time the police came to the house, which I think was great of him. But, like, at that point, all the cards are out on the table at that point.
But see, I also kind of relate. I don't like how I look in pictures. I don't like photos of me.
That's not what you would say. You would say, I don't want any photos of me. I don't like the way that I look. He said, it should be all about Laci. Why do people want to keep inserting me? But
I would probably say it that way to not sound like, oh, stop making it about yourself.
But at the volunteer center, like, I get it on a billboard. I get it in a newspaper article. But at the volunteer center that you're running, there can't even be a picture of you and your missing wife? That's weird. I don't like
how I don't know, body dysmorphia, whatever the fuck it is.
No, he doesn't have body dysmorphia. He's a fit guy.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. He has body dysmorphia.
I think it's sketch. And Daniel would be the guy that's like, I don't want to be any pictures. Just put up pictures of Jessica and help find her. Daniel would be that guy too.
But also, if you're leaving a secret double life.
Yeah.
Do you want to be exposed?
But the priority of keeping your secret double life at that point, all bets are off. It's out the window.
But it also would make him look even worse if it came out.
It looked worse that you were hiding it. That's why I think there's something off about Scott, and I can't put my finger on it. I encourage you guys to watch the videos that I link, form your own opinion. All of our information has come from many, many sources on the internet. They're so easy to find. Just Google Scott and Laci.
I highly recommend Stephanie Harlowe's 3-part
YouTube
4-hour mini series of it.
It's fantastic. It's a
so
deep
good.
dive.
She's such a good I don't know. I love her.
The Crime Junkie podcast.
Her makeup's amazing too.
Yes. The Crime Junkie podcast go in depth about why they think it's possible he's innocent. So you're going to get obviously biased facts on that. Try and take all accounts into side. That's what I did. I watched stuff saying that he was innocent, watched stuff saying that he was guilty. I tried to form my own facts from there. That's the information that you guys have in front of you. Everything that I can remember that we use, I'll definitely link. But let's do some Ray of Lights.
Absolutely. So we really hope this lived up to your hopes of our conversation, Jasmine. We love you. We'll talk to you soon. Well, I'll talk to you probably in like 5 minutes.
We'll just keep going with Ray of Light. We got 20 minutes.
So Ray of Lights this week. My number one ray of light this week is that Angela Kinsey and Jenna Fisher. Did you?
I loved it.
Okay, so Angela Kinsey and Jenna Fisher of The Office fame, they played Angela and Pam. They started a podcast doing episode by episode of The Office.
And I'm fucking into it.
So good. They're best friends.
The Office Girls.
The Office Ladies.
The Office Ladies. It's so amazing.
They're best friends, and I absolutely fucking love it.
And I thought it was just going to be them talking, and it realized that it was a like show for show.
Yeah.
Like in depth. Oh, it's so good.
Episode 2 came out today.
Yeah,
so good. It was Diversity Day. That's Coco.
Oh, okay.
We're dead. We're dead.
If you're not fans of The Office, then this is not for you. But if you are, it is absolutely fantastic. And Rainn Wilson, who played Dwight, is going to be on the next episode.
3.
And I love Dwight.
Oh my gosh. So my second ray of light is I got a new job.
Yay. That should have been your first.
Well, I know. I wanted to zig when you thought I was going to zag. You know?
Zag me, baby.
So I'm honestly, I really do have to thank Jessica for this, because I don't think I would have had the
I'm
strength to
gonna
do that. I'm about to cry,
Stop
girl.
it.
I don't think I would have had the drive without my friend here pushing me forward to do something better for me. So I'm just super excited and thankful for you for encouraging me.
You did it.
I know,
Stop.
girl, but
You did
I
it.
wouldn't have had the courage to do it without you being here supporting me. And I just
We just held hands, guys.
We're crying.
Mario was so dark, and I feel like it's so important to be rays of light for your friends, especially when they're
Absolutely.
going through a hard time. And I'm so proud of you that you did it, and that you got out of your comfort zone, and that you're going to be in my bay. So we're both crying. It's so fun. These are ray of lights, damn it.
They're tears of joys and
But I'm so
thankfulness.
proud, and I'm so happy, and I think it's going to be a great switch, and you're really going to like it.
I think
over where
so too.
at.
I'm
It's
super
really
stoked.
awesome.
Cut this out.
No,
but-
I'm leaving
No,
it.
no, cut this out. But Jackie freaked me the fuck out about the job for a second, because Brenda was talking to Eric about it and saying a lot of people are going over to this job not realizing what it is
Yeah.
and quitting because they can't handle it.
Oh, you're fine.
And
I'm going to tell
I
you
was
why
like,
you're fine. I'll tell
and then
you
I talked to Petra about it, and Petra's like, oh, no. The reason that is because they expect just to work on something and then just hang out for a little bit, and then work on something and hang out like waiting
not
for a
like
phone call.
that.
And it's not like that you're working constantly. It's like, oh, that's what I
Yeah.
was expecting. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
Yeah.
And that made me feel so much better. But for a second, I was just like for all of
No.
lunch, I was like, oh my God, did I bring Christopher into something terrible?
No, it's totally like that where I'm at too.
Okay,
like
cool.
people think they're gonna just like work and talk all day. It's not like that at all.
It's
like,
working.
it's hard work. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You're working all the time.
Absolutely. So anyway, back to action. So I just want to thank you for that. And I'm just so excited to I start November 4th. And I'll let you know how it goes. I'm super stoked.
He's gonna be fine. It's such a better world where we're at over there. It's so much more peaceful. It's so much more calm. Like supervisors really are not breathing down your neck, and as long as you do your work, you're fine. It's a great place. I like it over there a lot. It's peaceful. That's the word I keep using. That's how it feels. It's just peaceful.
Work.
Yeah. Do you have any more ray of lights? Oh yeah.
Oh, yes. So I've been looking forward. So the Columbus Museum is our local town's museum, and they actually are a very good fucking museum.
It's a great museum.
I've been going to it for years, and every
if you're
time I
in
go,
this area, you should
absolutely.
go.
If you're in Southwest Georgia, I highly recommend it, because I always go with just regular expectations, and they always surprise me every time, because they bring good ass exhibits.
It's a great museum.
And so I saw this exhibit on their website about 2 months ago, and I've been looking forward to it the entire time. And it is the artist Sawyer Woolfolk, and she has this exhibit called Augmented Visionary Reality Outpost. And it's really beautiful. It's very, I feel Native American inspired.
Yeah.
I'm not certain if she's Native. I really need to do a little bit more research on her, but I just went to it yesterday, and I'm obsessed.
We're definitely going to link. Mario sent me some beautiful, stunning pictures. We're definitely going to link that on our Instagram.
Absolutely, we
and
can post the photos and tag her in it, because it's this really cool interactive
It's like
exhibit.
a whole nother world. It's beautiful.
So like you go to it, and before you enter, you have to read this thing on the wall, pretty much explaining it. And the whole concept is this group of women in upstate New York came across these bones of like these beings, and it caused them to transform and evolve into these things they call the empathics. And they're kind of like half human, half like plant. And it's supposed to help you become more actualized. And it's about like gender fluidity and becoming or aspiring to...
It has like a Tim Burton, Alice in Wonderland, modern day, like eclectic feel.
I would never say that about that.
Why?
Because
the pictures you sent me felt like I was stepping into a whole nother world.
it's absolutely a whole nother world in that aspect. I would not say Tim Burton, because Tim Burton's dark.
Tim Burton,
This-
and just like how it looks so different and surreal. Not the darkness. It's definitely light.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And so when you go in, there's 3
gorgeous.
virtues you can choose from, and you have to take a tarot card, and it has a picture of the image referencing it, and then
Which, guys, tarot cards at a museum in the South, I'm impressed.
yes, and then they have an actual tarot on the back, and so you're supposed to go through the exhibit and look through it, and there's a part where it's like this machine that you stand in front of, and you're supposed to hold your card out and meditate on it. And think about how you want this particular virtue that you chose to impact your life in a positive manner. And it starts, I don't know if it's just a loop of something, but how it works, it feels like it's interacting with you, and it displays something on
It sounds
the screen.
amazing. I'm going.
And there's these beautiful 3D printed headpieces with entire garments throughout the thing. And and they represent the different virtues as well. But then there's another part next to it where you're supposed to hold up your tarot card, and it's like an augmented reality thing. It recognizes the card, and then it displays it on it. And she wants you to take a selfie with the actual representation on the screen.
Yeah.
But it's very organic and moving and beautiful. I don't know. It's just...
I'm going to go, guys.
It's absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't looked into, or if you've never heard of her, she doesn't have a huge following on Instagram, like 7,000. But I think this artist is somebody you should watch. Her art is beautiful. Like, I felt something. And the whole concept of it is just so cool.
You should feel when you look at art. I've said that before.
Her husband is an anthropologist.
Oh, I love that.
And so I feel like this was heavily inspired by Native cultures, and I'm sure he gave her some insight, but she was also inspired by science fiction. It's really beautiful.
It's definitely eclectic, but it's gorgeous, and it's got jewel tones everywhere. It's light, it's airy, and it's really pretty.
Very multimedia. There's projections, there's actual lithographs, there's whole garments made of petals, and it looks like she just got a bunch of ties, but they're reminiscent of this organic being. Like it looks like a kachina. Do you know what a kachina doll is? They're the Native American dolls that you can buy.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like kachina outfit or like tribal outfits for a native tribe.
Yeah.
It's stunning. I highly recommend you check her out. If you're in the area, I definitely recommend it. It honestly gave me life. I love going to a great art exhibit, especially one that doesn't disappoint, because I've been looking forward to this for 2 months now. Because the last time I was looking forward to an exhibit, it was at the High Museum. Drove a fucking hour and a half to go. It looked cool, but it was not crafted.
like
the craftsmanship was terrible.
Yeah.
It looked like somebody just glued a bunch of balls to the wall and put spray foam over it and then painted it. This looks like art.
So what we're saying is if you're not from the area, she does have an Instagram. It's Saya Woolfalk, and that's WOOLFALK. There's no U in there. Check her out on Instagram. I'm gonna link everything. It looks really, really beautiful. I feel like I need this weekend, and I'm gonna go.
You need to go. I definitely recommend it. Your kids will like it too, because they can interact with the thing, and it's pretty neat. Is that all your ray of lights?
That's my ray of lights. Okay. My ray of light is that I finally finished Up and Vanished, which is the Payne Lindsay podcast I've been listening to after I finished Culpable, and I loved Culpable, but the Payne Lindsay one is amazing. And he's kind of still actively going in, and he had a key role in discovering the murders of Tara Grinstead in Osceola, Georgia. And it, like, so much so that the GBI was like, we want to thank the media. They didn't say him specifically, but they were like, you really had a lot to do with this. And that doesn't happen often. Most of the time they don't want the media involved.
Absolutely. The media gets in the way and fucks things up.
Right, but not the GBI. The GBI thanked him gratefully for that, because what happened is they ended up getting a tip from a person who heard the podcast, and someone said something to them, and they were like, no, I have to go to the GBI. That's my ray of light. My ray of light was, despite the anxiety that I'm constantly feeling right now, because things are crazy this time of year and I tend to get this way, is that, like, this podcast got me out of my head. The hours of research, sitting in front of the computer, deep diving, watching documentary, listening to the book again, re-listening to Crime Junkie. It really got me out of my head for a while. So we've said it before, but this podcast really has, like, done a lot for my self-care.
Same. Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm just so grateful that someone even listens and requested it. And I'm so grateful that Mario took this dive with me, because normally I'm the one that's all about the true crime, but Mario went into, like, many of our notes. So, I don't know. I hope you guys liked it. We're going to take a break from true crime for a little bit.
You think?
Yeah, because I think next I want to do Israel Keys.
Okay.
But I gotta get in. That's gonna be a deep dive for me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's true crime. Enough for a bit. We're gonna do other topics.
Absolutely. Also, quick recommendation. I know I've just been in, like, the spirit of Halloween lately.
Yes.
So if you don't know who Sharon Needles is, she won season 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race, but she's also a musician. And her first album that she released after she won was PG-13, and it's just super Halloween-y and great, and I definitely recommend it.
We will link it. Wonderful. I'll put the album art up on our Instagram and tag her.
Absolutely.
So we hope you guys liked it. We are recording a little bit later this week because I needed more time to prepare. Oh, Mario,
you forgot a recommendation.
Oh, what? Yes,
you wanted to recommend.
I took my glasses
off. It didn't start with you.
Oh, yes, I have this wonderful book that I bought that helps with my anxiety. It's called It Didn't Start With You. It's kind of like science and self-help all in one book. It basically talks about how trauma that affects your parents and their parents when they're younger affect how you're raised and how they treat you, and how like those patterns of trauma just keep getting duplicated in your brain because you get, you know, genetics from your family. So it's called It Didn't Start With You. It's really good. It helps with empathy. I tend to be a cold-hearted snake and just like slam doors on people, even own families when they mess me up. But this book helped with some empathy because of that, and I actually made a little bit of stride with my mom this week. So
that's great.
It's really good. Oh, and Daniel's birthday was last Saturday.
Happy
37th birthday to my hubby bubs. But that's it. That's all we got. Jasmine, I need an email.
Yeah, let us know.
Did we do a good job?
Please
Are you convinced?
Please let us know your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Are you a guilty or not guilty?
Please let us know.
Yeah.
Please let us know.
Did we do a good job? Should we just stop altogether? Just kidding. We're not stopping. Thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate you hanging out with us for this long-ass episode.
Yeah.
I'm Jessica. That's Mario. Don't forget to like, rate, review. We have an email. It's imverypassionatepodcast@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that's all I got. How about you?
No, that's it. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mwah.